previously cautioned the board against the failure to follow governance procedures, which undermines the board's integrity. De Lille will soon invite nominations of eligible persons, and a person or a group will be appointed in the interim to manage the affairs of the board. Khomza Modise, Eyewitness News.
The cash-strapped Mfuleni local municipality wants the National Treasury to once again write off a portion of its debt to Eskom. The municipality owed the utility 8 billion rand due to unpaid electricity bills before Treasury scrapped a portion of the debt. After applying for the debt relief program, Treasury wrote off nearly 2 billion rand of that debt. Alpha Ramushwana has more.
The embattled Mfuleni local municipality believes it meets National Treasury's criteria to qualify for another debt write-off. This time, the municipality is seeking a further 2 billion rand reduction of its debt to Eskom. Finance MMC Hassan Mako says the municipality has already begun engaging the relevant authorities in an effort to reduce what it owes to the power utility.
There's also a process that we're undertaking now to see if we cannot get a second write-off because the amount would be 5.9 billion. And you minus the 1.9 billion, it will take it to 3.something billion.
The municipality recently landed in trouble again over another outstanding debt owed to Rand Water. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
Plans by the ANC National Executive to reconfigure its Western Cape leadership could further weaken its status in its worst performing province, with disgruntled local leaders said to be looking for greener pastures. The party has already lost 2 ward councillors to the Patriotic Alliance in recent weeks, and yesterday battled it out in by-elections in Knysna and the Hung Council of Matsigama. EWN has reliably learned that members of the ANC's provincial leadership are being wooed by both the DA and Patriotic Alliance as looming reconfiguration upsets local leaders. Lindsay Dentlinger takes a look.
The so-called Rural for Change bloc emerged victorious at the ANC's Western Cape Provincial Conference in 2023 after 4 years of being under administration by an interim leadership. But 2 weeks ago, Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula announced another shake-up, that the Western Cape would follow the same route as KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng with the reconfiguration of its leadership. EWN understands that since that announcement, some senior ANC leaders have become prey for other political parties, particularly Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie, who is said to be making a strong play for them to defect. ANC national spokesperson Mahlengi Bengu says no decision has yet been taken on how or when the reconfiguration process will unfold.
There will be a reconfiguration and may very well be anything from effecting changes in the leadership structure. That's one of the options that are currently on the table.
She says national leaders will return to the province soon to explain the findings of its working committee and the way forward. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
And the International Criminal Court says that it deplores new U.S. sanctions on its judges and prosecutors. Yesterday, the U.S. State Department announced new sanctions on 2 judges and 2 prosecutors in the ICC for engaging in efforts to prosecute U.S. and Israeli citizens. Secretary of State Marco Rubio accused the ICC of being a national security threat and an instrument of lawfare against the U.S. and Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has welcomed the U.S. move. The ICC has issued arrest warrants against Netanyahu and his former defense minister Yoav Gallant for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity over Israel's war in Gaza. Gold is trading at $3,344.53 an ounce. The rand is at 17.70 to the dollar, 23.81 to the pound, 20.62 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $67.11 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the R21 South between Olifantsfontein Road and the R25. This is due to roadworks. There's also queuing traffic along the N12 and the R24 West between Edenville Road and the Glulis interchange.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Tourism Minister Patricia de Lille is expected to initiate the process of appointing a new board at SA Tourism after dissolving the current one.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Gauteng's greatest awards at 702 and Yoko. Let's celebrate excellence, one vote at a time. Go to primediaplus.com now to vote for the finalist that makes Gauteng feel like home.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. Great to have you with us here on 702. I trust and hope that you are well this morning. Hello, if you are watching us on YouTube, you can go to the 702 YouTube page to watch and listen to the show at the same time. You are welcome to comment on any conversation we're having on the show on the YouTube page. I often go and drag some of your comments from there and read them. The open line starts now on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Stay in your lane. That's the message from the unions to the KZN Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. They're unhappy with the statement that he made, suggesting that South Africa's rising unemployment rate is the result of unions constantly pushing for higher pay for their members. Mkhwanazi made these statements during the KZN Premier's stakeholder engagement on crime prevention. In fact, let's hear from the horse's mouth. Here's what he said about this issue.
To 19,000. But the population is growing and we are going down more. Thanks to who? The unions. Labor people who said we want salaries for our employees. So the more government employment increase salaries is the lesser they employ. So the lesser they employ, the more crime they get. So we need to really interrogate and ask this thing. Prima, you said this country is going down in front of our eyes. The reality is we've got too many things that are wrong in our country that contribute. Labor laws are one of those. I can tell you that one. We moved to 25,000 employees. It was paying me to look at the NUMSA's Secretary General yesterday talking about the closures of UDA. So when we have companies that are starting to shut down, you need to ask yourself, and many of them shutting down in the country, the higher the salary we need, the lesser the employment. And that's a reality. We can't avoid it, but it's a fact. We must face it. It is there. And we experience it in the police, and so is everyone. Now, therefore, we have to employ other means to try and balance this. Because if we don't have a person, that means we must employ a camera to help us to see at least. If we don't have a person, we must employ cars so that you can have more vehicles patrolling to cover the areas that people were not normally supposed to cover. And all these things need money. That is unfortunate reality. So it's the truth that I'm glad we're all here that we'll have to face as we're talking to each other. We are yours, and we need you to guide us. If we are not behaving well, discipline us. If you're not fit for a job, fire us because we are employed by you. We not have a guarantee that we can be in this job forever. You need to chase us away if you're not delivering.
What do you think of that? COSATU and SAFTU and other unions are up in arms. They're saying that General Mkhwanazi should stick to issues of policing. He must not scapegoat organized labor for a crisis that they say is rooted in government policies and structural flaws that are inherited from apartheid. Do you think we have a crisis of unemployment because employees get paid too much at the insistence of unions? And should government focus more on employing people than on increasing salaries and ensuring that there are fair wages? Because that's the argument, essentially, that General Mkhwanazi is making. Let me know your thoughts. So I think, first of all, I don't think Mkhwanazi was wrong to raise this issue of unemployment if he contextualized it within the police, drawing from his observation and experience. But unions don't only exist to push for salary increases. They exist to protect us as employees from exploitation, to protect workers' rights. And yes, there have been cases where unions have demanded ridiculous and ambitious wage increases, but they've also pushed for increases to ensure that there are fair wages. Let me know what you think of what the KZN Police Commissioner has said, and also what you think of what the unions are saying here. 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. At 10 o'clock, we are going to do our Hanging Out feature. And today I'm hanging out with Derek Hanekom. He's a retired politician. He's an activist. He's a former cabinet minister. Is he still the board chair? He's no longer the board chair of SAA. That's one of the things that he just did recently as well. He was the board chair at SAA, but he's not only a former member of cabinet who has led various ministries, he is also someone whose personal history is deeply intertwined with the struggle for justice and democracy in our country. From his early days as a farmer to his underground work with the ANC during the darkest days of apartheid, and then later on, his role in shaping land reform policy in the Mandela administration. He's also worked with former President Jacob Zuma, but he's really lived a life of courage and service. He's going to be hanging out with us between 10 and 11 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, we do our Thursday dialogue, and today we're asking why government has failed to deal effectively with the violence and tensions between e-hailing drivers and taxi operators. You saw what happened at Maponyapong last week. We've had conversations about it, but I do want us to maybe do just like a round table with all the affected parties and find out, why are we here? Why have we failed to sort out this tension? Because there have been meetings before. The regulations actually do exist, but have they been implemented? What has been the role of government here? Because it looks like the taxi operators and the e-hailing drivers are saying, government, you should have actually sorted this out. So we're going to have that conversation with the e-hailing drivers. We'll bring in the taxi associations, and we'll bring in government as well. That's on our Thursday dialogue at 11 o'clock. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good morning, Clement and 702 team. Salamina from Pretoria. I think General Mkhwanazi has a fair point. I work for government, and genuinely speaking, majority of the people in government are overpaid because they literally do a fraction of the work that is expected of them to do. And when annual increase time comes, those people are there with the unions marching for an increase when the production of it all is not necessarily there. So I kind of get where he's coming from. Perhaps, yes, he did step out of line and should have just focused on police matters. But he has a fair point. Actually, he genuinely has a fair point.
And should government...
Hi, Clement. It's Vincent in Western. Look, man, there's a saying which says, and I quote, instead of having champagne for the few, let us have drinking water for all. In my view, I think the unions are overdoing things, and by so doing, they are chasing away even companies in the private sector because of these high salaries and so forth and so on. Companies are no longer reluctant to employ people because of higher wages. Yes, I'm in a public sector, and I believe that if wages are somehow cut and reduced, we need to employ more people for service delivery to unfold smoothly. So indeed, the labor unions and these solidarity organizations are crippling service delivery by requiring higher wages for public servants. That's my saying.
Yeah, but also, then how do you ensure that they're fair wages? Because there are public servants that are overworked, public servants that are doing, I mean, let's take the police, for instance, since we're talking about the police commissioner. There are some police officers that you would argue at some point were overworked. They were doing extra hours. They were not feeling safe. And the intervention of unions have somehow helped in that regard. So if you are not going to have unions pushing for wage increases, then you are going to have police officers that are underpaid, and as a result, people don't want to join the force, or people who are in the force, the morale is so low, they are not encouraged, and that's not going to help us because we need them energized, we need them to be productive. Now, again, I premise this by saying that I do think that unions, there have been instances where unions have been ridiculous in their demands. I mean, I've criticized some union leaders some years back when they would go out, even, it's not just in government, but even in mining companies where they're asking for wage increases and they promise their members that, don't worry, we're going to get you 15,000 Rand. And actually, people go on strike and they lose money while on strike, and the unions are not able to negotiate that huge amount of increase that they want. And then you've got people who have actually lost so much money while they were on strike. They stayed away from work. So I do think that there are instances where unions have asked and demanded far too more than what even some companies can afford, and that can have an impact on unemployment. But I don't think then you look at unions as problematic like that fundamentally in as far as the issue of unemployment is concerned. I think, as the unions have actually said themselves, the issue is more nuanced and structural than that. What do you think, Dumisani, in Germiston? Hi.
Hi, morning. How are you?
Sure, man. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm saying that as much as I respect Mkwanazi, but it's out of line here. I mean, we need the SAPS or law enforcement need incentives. They need a decent wages, and we need a well capacitated workforce, well equipped and well resourced law enforcement or SAPS. So all these are packages. You can't leave one alone. We can't take one alone. So we need this. All of this, that is incentive, and also a well-paid staff, so that they can do the job as much as we like them, as a public, we like them to do. Because if they are ill-paid, there will be a lot of corruption. I mean, they'll find ways to make money that is out of the line. So we need well-paid, decent. They must be paid. There must be a decent wage. As much as we, as the public, we need a wage increase each and every year. Also, the public servant also need an increase each and every year.
Yeah, but what's the return on that investment, Misani? Because mostly in the private sector, your salary increase is often linked to your performance. I mean, in government, you've got a union that comes and just negotiates for whoever is a member of that union, whether those people are performing or not.
I mean, the government and the unions, they must sit down and find ways to incentivize, to make the workers work productively. We can't say that no, because they are not working or they are lazy, and then they mustn't get increase, because we will be proving chaos.
Okay, Tumisani in Germiston, thank you so much for your thoughts.
Clement, unions are like EFF supporters. They can agree with you in so many things, but when you talk about their boss, they will insult you. Mkhwanazi is right about unions. Unions are destroying everything in this country. Unions are making lot of money, millions every month. What are the unions doing to create employment in South Africa? They are destroying jobs. They are not creating jobs. Mkhwanazi is right.
Hi, Clement. Chris here in Johannesburg. I think it is not the territory of General Mkhwanazi to be talking about the wage bill of the government and all that. I don't think it is his territory. That's the main thing. However, he's not that wrong. President Thabo Mbeki said this many years ago when he started. I think he was still the deputy president, and the unions were up in arms. They wanted a certain percentage increase for the civil servants. And Thabo Mbeki said, fine, we can give it, but you must know that will employ more and more less people. We won't be able to employ people. So we can give it, but it compromises employment in the civil sector, in the public sector. Thank you.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
How would you advise President Ramaphosa then? How does he navigate this rather delicate sort of terrain that he's finding himself in, particularly given the fact that there will most likely be a bilateral between Zelensky and Putin, and ultimately a trilateral that will involve Donald Trump as well?
For President Ramaphosa, presenting a cautious but present and showcasing what South Africa can do to assist, that I think for me is an important role that can be played.
Gustavo Di Callio.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
It's time to eat, dance, and celebrate. The DSTV Delicious Festival, powered by Lotto Star, is serving up 2 days of world-class entertainment from international acts of South Africa's finest artists alongside culinary masterpieces from the best local chefs. Browse fashion and art. Take part in live cooking demos and soak up the festival's electric atmosphere. Saturday, the 20th of September is for you and your crew, and Sunday, the 21st of September is for the family picnic vibes. DSTV is turning 30, and you're invited to the party. One ticket, endless experiences. Tickets at Ticketmaster. More on deliciousfestival.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Dean McPherson, the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. Since I was appointed just over a year ago, we've laid a firm foundation in the department, and after tabling our 7.6 billion rand budget for growth, we're now turning plans into action. That means that we're moving government departments into our own state-owned buildings to save you billions of rands in rent. We're unlocking public land to build affordable housing, create shelters for victims of gender-based violence, and to boost food production. We're also tackling corruption head-on without fear or favor. And we're giving young South Africans real opportunities through a reformed EPWP program that focuses on skills and long-term jobs. And this is only the beginning. With your support, we're building a capable and professional department that delivers infrastructure, creates jobs, and puts public assets to work for the public good. The best is yet to come because we're building a better country for you, brick by brick.
It took patience, perseverance, and audacity to get my first call-up and win with the Bokke. And we did it together. That's why I, Dion Free, partnered with African Bank so I can win big with a 60-month fixed deposit. Patience brings results. Join the bank that backs you. Get a 12.8% return at expiry on your investment. Visit africanbank.co.za or a branch for assistance. African Bank, audacity to believe. African Bank is a licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Franchise your future with the vision to invest, the mindset to follow a proven system, and the drive to grow something of your own. Meet the minds behind smart investments and proven franchise success on Franchise Your Future with Relebohile Mabocha, brought to you by Cash Converters on 702. Plus, you could win 10,000 Rand to kickstart your journey to franchise your future. Hit primemediaplus.com now. Then, every Tuesday from 1 p.m., catch Franchise Your Future on Afternoons with Relebogile Maboja, brought to you by Cash Converters. Your money, your momentum. On 702, let's walk the talk.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
27 minutes after 9 o'clock. Moses, you're in Rockville, Soweto. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So,
General Connors has got his fingers on the pulse as far as this matter is concerned. I speak here with the benefit of inside information because I was a civil servant for 36 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the issue with civil servants is covered car parkings in all the institutions, whether they are schools, clinics, whatever. What does that tell you? They have cars, they are able to live a very comfortable lifestyle. And I don't get this thing of a low salary because when the posts are advertised, salaries are there, excluding the benefits. And there are so much benefits there. If I'm not mistaken, the minimum housing subsidy, housing allowance, there's subsidy and allowance, there's a difference. Those who are staying in back rooms, they simply submit that I'm a tenant at Clement's house and all the details. And they get something like 1.5.
is it all
That's for housing
public
allowance.
officials?
Yes, it applies across. It applies across. We're not talking about housing subsidies for those with bonded houses. I'm talking about somebody who's staying in a back room gets 1.5 as an allowance on top of their salaries.
Really? Okay. Let me check that. Yeah, Moses, thank you for your call in Rockville. Do all public officials have housing allowance? I mean, I know like medical aid, maybe some of it subsidized. I wasn't so sure about housing allowance. Moses says yes, even if you live in a back room, you can still get like a 1.5. Please let me know if that's really the case. If you agree with what Moses is saying and you're in the public sector, you can advise on that, please. But yeah, Moses, thank you so much for that. Here's another question on us before we head to the news, and then we'll come back with more of your calls on WhatsApps. Let me ask it this way. How intentional are you about starting a family? Or how intentional are you about being strategic about how many children you want? Because it looks like we are having fewer and fewer children. And I wonder if you are one of those contributing to the fertility decline. And I want to know what has shaped your decision to have or not to have kids. So in July, Stats SA revealed that South Africa's fertility rate has steadily declined over the years from an average of 2.78 children per woman. That was in 2008. We are now in 2025. We're at 2.21 children per woman. In fact, some people have suggested that some of the causes of the decline speak to economic and social realities that are shaping people's choices. So, are you one of those that are contributing to the fertility decline, and what has shaped your decision to have children if you have them? Maybe you decided, I want one, I want two, I want three. Or are you a type of person that's not dictated to by the economic times as to how many children you want? Or are you one person that has decided not to have kids? And what have been your reasons for that? Is it purely for, is it socio-economic issues? Is it because you've never really wanted to have children? Let me know. 011-883-0702. Send me a WhatsApp as well on 072-702-1702. Sfiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clemens. Good morning. A 16-year-old boy is expected to appear in the Athlone Magistrates Court this morning in connection with an attack on 3 members of Parliament. Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police, Ian Cameron, and his colleagues sustained injuries in an attempted hijacking in Fertility this week. They were returning from an oversight visit to the police training college in Fertility when they came under attack in their vehicle. The Correctional Services Department has reinstated 5 prison wardens accused of assaulting and murdering an inmate at the Johannesburg prison. The officials are accused of beating Dumsani Ngwenya in 2022. Ngwenya was admitted to hospital and later succumbed to his injuries. And the International Criminal Court has said it deplores new U.S. sanctions on its judges and prosecutors. Yesterday, the U.S. State Department announced new sanctions on 2 judges and 2 prosecutors in the ICC for engaging in efforts to prosecute U.S. and Israeli citizens. Secretary of State Marco Rubio accused the ICC of being a national security threat and an instrument of lawfare against the U.S. and Israel. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, travelling on the N12 West as well as the R24 West, we've got delays between Edenville Road and the Gillies interchange. Out on the M2 West, an accident reported near the Crown interchange causing delays coming out of Elof Street. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 South in the Midrand area approaching Olifantsfontein Road while heading towards Sunny Hill via the N1 North. Delays towards Rivonia Road. This is due to roadworks taking place along this route. Please be on the lookout there and approach with care. More updates coming up at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Meet the new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, re-engineered to be our thinnest and lightest foldable yet. Move with confidence, powered by an ultra-sleek, ultra-slim design that adapts wherever life takes you. Open your world to expansive screens, seamlessly crafted for work and play. It's innovation that fits your pocket. Upgrade to the new Galaxy Z Fold 7 and get double the storage on us. Hurry, offer ends 31 August. T's and C's apply.
Hollywood Bets is bringing you a bounty of prizes with Spina Zonke prize drops. Gear up to unravel an endless supply of treasures and claim fantastic riches with a chance to win an amazing share of 2.5 million rand in cash and prizes. All you have to do is bet 2 rand or more on selected pragmatic play games on Mondays, Tuesdays and Thursdays between 12:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. Feel the ultimate thrill when you log in for a spin and bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
At the heart of global conversations shaping our future, Africa's voice is more important than ever. As proud lead sponsor of the B20, the Standard Bank Group is honored to showcase the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Because driving Africa's growth isn't just our ambition, it's our purpose. Tune in every Monday from 3 p.m. for the Standard Bank B20 In Brief for key insights and updates around the B20. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
25 minutes before 10 o'clock. This is the 702 open line. Are you one of those that are intentional about having fewer children, given the economic and social realities that we are confronted with? That's a question I'm asking you. Stats SA had revealed that, South Africa's fertility rate is steadily declining, and it's been declining over the years. So 2008, there was an average of 2.78 children per woman, and now in 2025, it's 2.21 children per woman. And I wonder if you have been quite intentional. Are you contributing to the fertility decline, and what has shaped your decision to have or not have the kids? I'm also asking you about the comments that the KZN Police Commissioner, Ntantla Mkhwanazi, made, suggesting that South Africa's rising unemployment rate is a result of unions constantly pushing for higher pay for their members. The unions are up in arms. They're saying that Mkhwanazi should stick to issues of policing. They said, stay in your lane. They said he must not scapegoat organized labor for a crisis that is rooted in government policies and structural flaws inherited from apartheid. What do you think about that? Let's start with your WhatsApp voice notes on the fertility rate that's been declining.
Hi, Clement. Great show. Can I just remain anonymous for this one? On the issue of the decline in birth rates, personally, on my side, I only have two kids. My eldest being 9, and my youngest being almost 5. And I am 34. The reason being that I feel like it's very expensive raising kids, and the tax on it, the emotional tax, the physical tax, and making sure that I can actually be present for both my children, equally present. I know it's not necessarily the case every time, but just to make sure that I am present for my children. But I think another thing is, I think a lot of women now realize that we are in control of when we have kids. So my husband knows that the only time we will have another child is if I say I am ready to have another child. Until then, we are going to be a family of 4, and it suits us fine right now. Also financially, we're able to do so many things for our kids. So yeah, I think it's actually going to decline even further going forward.
Me and my husband got married young, and initially we wanted 4 kids. But the older we get and the more we see, the reality of, the cost of things and everything else in between, the cost of education, all of those things. And we've just narrowed it down to 1. We went from wanting 4 kids to we have 1 kid, and we are keeping it that way because it is getting very expensive to have more than 2 children, especially in the current economic climate that we also find ourselves in.
Mkonazi is right. The government's labor force is bloated, it's highly overpaid, and it's lazy, or rather incompetent. And I feel that anybody who feels that he was out of step or wrong for saying what he said is people that are supporting this corrupt functioning by unions. We all know it's a known fact that anybody who wants to have when they think of Yazin, if I can just get a good job, they always think of government because they know they're going to get highly paid for doing nothing.
Oh, hi, Clement. It's Katleho from Davidson. With regards to your topic, I think we'll be discussing later on regarding having kids. I'm 37 now, and I don't have kids yet because one of my concerns has always been that for now, financially, I'm not stable. And now I'm nearing my 40s, and I don't see having kids maybe in the next 2 years if things don't stabilize the way I want them. So I am the one also, or I'm the one who's also contributing to the stats dropping because I haven't had kids yet.
Yeah. In these economic times, people are becoming more and more intentional and about curating families. Yeah, it's expensive to raise children, guys. It's really expensive. I always get surprised when I see people with 4, 5 children. Like in this economy, guys. But hey, households are not the same. But I do think that I'm getting a sense that these tough economic times seem to be part of the reason why people are reconsidering and are intentional about curating their families and deciding on how many children they have. 19 minutes before 10.
Your voice,
your station,
your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Ryan, you're calling from Randbeck. What do you want to say about these statements made by General Mkhwanazi? Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to your listeners. And thank you for the show. It's always so interesting, your topics that you bring up.
Thank you.
So it's a bit of a controversial opinion, and I just want to make a brief comment on the General's actual comments, and I'll bring in my opinion. So, you get different levels of policemen and obviously of government workers, and I think that the lower levels probably do need the support of the unions to have a fair wage and to enforce the protection that they need. I do believe, and I agree with most of your listeners and people who've commented on the WhatsApp, that many government employees are way overpaid for doing too little. And I think this brings me to the point I'm making. The crux of the issue, and just to give you a bit of background, my father has run a labor law consultancy business for 25 years. And the main issue that he's come across over and over again is that it is almost impossible in this country to actually adequately and properly discipline people who are not performing and who are lazy and who actually just do not do their work. And that is simply because the labor laws of this country are too loose. I'm not for one second advocating that we should have something like we have in the United States, where you can walk into your job and then you can walk out the back door the next day and get fired. But I do believe that it is way too difficult to discipline people. If you look at the government departments, I don't believe, first of all, that they're having performance appraisals. If they were, I do believe that there's not enough discipline that is going on inside those departments to ensure that the right people are being employed. If you have the right people, I don't mind paying them what they're being paid, because they deserve to be paid a fair wage for the labor. But if you have, and this is what results in unemployment. So the biggest reason my father says that big companies, private organizations are not building new factories, employing new workers, is because they are scared that they hire somebody or many people that become poor laborers, and they are unable to discipline them and, for want of a better word, get rid of those poor laborers and hire the right people, because the labor laws are just too protectionist, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Ryan in Randburg, thank you so much for your contribution. Let's hear what the others think. Abosh in Soweto, hi.
Good morning, Clement.
Sure.
Good. Mr. Clement, I would like to differ with Mr. Mkonazi. Yes, his portfolio falls under police. So when he talks of the labor, I don't think it is his expertise to talk about that. Because remember, Mr. Clement, without unions, workers will be exploited at a place. Like now, I think the only reason why unions demand increases for the employees, because when they see the CEOs, the chairman of the companies, how much they take home. So not so long ago, Mr. Clement, we talked about the chief of army who went to Iran and made some utterances that were not even involved in his portfolio. So with this, as far as I know, Mr. Mkonazi, he's not a labor expert or something. So the reason why we don't see growth in South Africa is because of the high unemployment. It's because our education is not forward paced. So we are being taught to go to grade R until grade 12. After that, you go to university. Then after, you look for a job. So if we were to copy China, what is teaching the people there is that we give you a skill so that tomorrow you run your own business. Then by doing that, we increase the employment will increase, because everyone will be participating in the economy. So you cannot say now, Mr. Clement, I have a bond now, I'm struggling to pay my bond. And I don't think I'm earning a lot of money, but my salary is around maybe 10 or more. But if you were to say to me, we're going to decrease your salary so that we can employ more people, what's going to happen to me? Because I have a house, I have a kid that I'm taking to school. So Mr. Mkonazi is out of order. Sorry to say that.
Right, Abosh in Soweto, thank you for your thoughts. Anthony in Cape Town, hi.
Hello, Clement.
Sure.
First time caller.
Welcome.
I think that the problem with the unions and demands are that they have two memberships with the alliance with the ANC. So on the one side, they've got a disastrous economic policy that prevents the economy from growing properly, like 1% in the last 10 years. And on the other hand, they're putting pressure on companies to pay more wages in an environment where nothing is growing business-wise.
Anthony, in Cape Town, thank you. Now, in Pretoria, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, now go ahead.
Clement?
Sure.
Oh, yes. Good morning. Yes. What I sort of agree with the commissioner on one portion, one part of it, but the other portion as well, I'm going to contrast to what he said. I don't know if you remember the SAA, not the current one, the previous SAA, whereby it was brought on its knees by union striking to a point whereby they ran out of money, everything else. And then it had to be rebuilt from the ground. So for me, that is actually a show of strength of unions whereby they destroy a going concern company to a point whereby it comes to its knees. And for me, I think that since that we have gained independence, we need to sort of try to strike a balance in between capitalism and looking after the employees to an extent that we can have more work being created, more people, more investors investing in the economy. Because if we go into more and more towards the left, as that other young man spoke about his father who is in the labor working industry, it shows that people are scared to invest. And this is, for me, that's just the way the economy has been shrinking, year in, year out. And if you look now, in the Eastern Cape, I think a good year is closing, and I don't know who else again that was going to be closing very soon. And purely because of the way we doing things, we're still dealing with employee issues, as if we're still in apartheid. We should be looking at things differently. Say, okay, fine, we've attained independence. How do we strike a balance to make sure that this economy grows?
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, contrasting what Mukwana said, I've got a childhood friend of mine that works for a company that develops the cold fridge, the mobile, cold fridge and all these things, moisturist thing. And it's quite a big company. And I remember him calling me over to his company to come and speak to them. And literally, and I'm not a union person, I'm an anti-union. Literally they stopped me from chatting to them. They were asking things that are proper, like for instance what do you call this? The pension that was installed last year, just to try to explain to them how it works, because they were not aware of how it works, and the more people are talking about things that they are thinking there's sort of a mistrust between the employees and the employer. And if we can try to balance the gap between the two, whereby as an employer, I engage my employees, make them aware. This is coming in, this is how it is. Let them have a more knowledge on it than getting a hearsay, because hearsay is more dangerous.
Yeah, got it. Now in Pretoria, thank you. It's 10 minutes before 10.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Tsapang from Midrand. I love 702 because of the credibility of their news, also credibility of their information. You can rely on their presenters, and on a lighter note, I also love their Whiz Quiz feature.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts,
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
Burnt out, distracted, done. Well, this is your wake-up call. The Mind Matters Summit hits South Africa, Cape Town. Top experts, elite athletes, wellness icons. One day to reset your mental game. Your turning point starts here. Happening at the Cape Town ICC on the 4th of September. Mind Matters Summit. Change your mind, change your life. Book now at mindmatters-summit.com in proud partnership with Prime Media Cares.
My friend always says, not my problem, bro. But what if it was your sister, your mother, your daughter? Gender-based violence is everyone's problem. And good men don't look away. If you see abuse, don't be silent. Report it. Call the SA Police on 10111 or the GBVF Command Center on 0800 428 428. Strong men protect. Strong women stand up. Together, we can end gender-based violence and femicide. Break the vicious cycle. Act now. A message from Government Communications, the GCIS.
Okay, truck 7 at zero warning lights, struck 8. It's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without My Way's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Your voice. Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
8 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Good morning, Clement. Once more, on the matter of having children. I got my firstborn when I was in grade 11, my secondborn when I was grade 12, my thirdborn when I was in first year varsity, my fourthborn when I was on my third year varsity, and then my lastborn when I started working. I'm 40 years now, but I no longer want anything to do with children. They are very expensive. At the same time, I wish I can have a little one because those ones I got them when I was immature, I believe. Luvuyo Krasmir.
Luvuyo, who took care of your kids? Your firstborn, you were in grade 11? Who was taking care? And then thirdborn in adversity. Who's taking care of your children? Bosebenza, were you working part-time? Yo. Wow.
Good morning, Clement and the team. In my case, originally I wanted 2 children. Even until now, I still want 2 children. I'm currently having only 1 kid, a boy. So, but due to my financial status currently, it doesn't allow me to have more than 1 child. But should anytime from now, I have an opportunity where I have financial muscle, I will definitely go for a second child. But that will be the last. Yeah, I think 2 children for me is what I'm looking for. But currently, I'm still having 1 due to financial strength. This is GP in GP.
You know what I wish? I wish like there was a system, and this is going to make me sound like a terrible person, but hear me out. You know I'm not a terrible person. But I'm often conflicted when it comes to kids because I always think, like, these people have to like live with me in my house for like the rest of their lives. What happens when I'm tired of them? Okay, fine. Maybe I can go away somewhere for a week or a weekend to take a break, but always, and I know it's weird, maybe some people don't think about this, but that's what I think about. Like, I think about what's going to happen when I'm just exhausted and I need space from my children because I feel like I will need that. So I wish there was a system where maybe like when they turn a particular age, like you send them through there, and then especially when they are older, when they are getting into their teens. Or maybe the answer to that is that send them to boarding school. Probably a better option there. But I really struggle with the idea that I'm going to be living with little ones who are going to be making noise. And I mean, they'll be loving, of course, but there are instances where I'll also probably need space. What am I going to do with them? Actually, I think boarding school is probably the answer for me.
Morning, Clement. With regards to your topic of declining in having children, I think I'm a great contributor of that as well. I had my first when I was 30, and for 5 years I was a single mom, and I met my husband, and when I was 40, I had my second. She's now 10, and yeah, I agree with your first caller. Having kids, it's emotionally expensive. I thought after marriage, when you have kids, it's going to be different. I think it's the same thing as when you are a single parent. Some men out there don't step up as we expect them to. So that was mainly my reason of not having more kids. But I'm turning 50 next year. I'm also afraid that I'm going to have another one, which will be a scandal. Thank you. Bye.
Good morning, Clement. Hope you well. Yo, Clement, this situation of kids, I have 2 boys, and I feel I'm 2 boys enough, no more. Right. Now, the problem that I have is that I get the hint from time to time from my wife that she wouldn't mind having another one. And I've made it clear to her that I do not want any more kids. But the problem then becomes that I don't have control over that. And the only reason why we have not had another child from my wife is that she's currently still studying. And I know that the moment she finishes studying, I'm in a mix. And really, the reason why I haven't really been able to go for the vasectomy route is that financially I cannot afford it. And it gives me stress every day. So yeah, if there's any 702 lender there that's willing to sponsor me with the vasectomy surgery, hey, I'm game. Please reach out. Thank you very much.
But you still need to talk to your wife before you go and do a vasectomy. Is she going to be happy with that? Or the other option is just keep her studying. Like when she's done with these studies, just encourage her to study something different. That way, then you're delaying the process. I just think kids are expensive, but also I just think kids are exhausting. Like, yeah, and does it count? Can we count like pets also as like offsprings? Because Aussie is a lot. Like the dog at home is a lot, and I just feel like already I've got a firstborn. Like the responsibilities that come with that. So maybe, for me, I'm constantly having to deal with that stress. And I'm like, can you imagine having kids? That's probably going to be worse than this. Also, if you're out there, you want to sponsor a vasectomy for this chap, shout out. It's a 1 minute before 10.
Johannesburg, the Tribute to Women show is here. Join us on the 24th of August at Marks Park in Emerentia as we honor 31 years of democracy and the incredible contributions of women in South Africa. Featuring an all-star lineup, Keisha White, Ami Faku, Thandiswa Mazwai, Loyiso, and more. Get your tickets now at webtickets.co.za. The Tribute to Women show, proudly presented by Sheer Entertainment.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult, day 3274. Every time I go to a fancy birthday dinner, I'm reminded I'm just 5 fancy birthday dinners away from financial ruin. Note to self, don't make any more born in June friends.
Recently removed from the family payroll? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's like 570 Rand a month, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age. Or now also in a no water needed, fruity flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and flemmings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
Choose the best. The new Huawei Pura 80 series. The master of photography. A super sensor with precision zoom. Stay sharp from dawn to dusk with a superior 1-inch ultralighting camera and ultralighting macro telephoto lens. The master of color, enhancing every frame with vibrant color and incredible clarity. Tricky lighting? No problem. Take portraits against the light with every face perfectly illuminated. It's more than a phone. It's a professional studio in your pocket. Go beyond with Huawei Pura 80 series.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. A 16-year-old boy is expected to appear in the Athlone Magistrates Court this morning in connection with the attack of 3 members of Parliament. Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Police, Ian Cameron, and his colleagues sustained injuries in an attempted hijacking in Philippi this week. They were returning from an oversight visit to the police training college in Philippi when they came under attack in their vehicle. A second suspect, also a teenager, is expected to appear in absentia as he remains in hospital. Cameron says the attack was a serious and deliberate attack that underscores the risks faced during oversight work, which is the attack will not deter them from doing their work.
What is scary about it is that they just kept on coming. Like they weren't like deterred in any way. So, 2, 3, 4 times, they just, as soon as we pushed back, they would just come back again. Definitely, they were very, very determined.
The Correctional Services Department has reinstated 5 prison wardens accused of assaulting and murdering an inmate at the Johannesburg prison. The officials are accused of beating Dumsane Ngwenya in 2022. Ngwenya was admitted to hospital and he later succumbed to his injuries. Jabulile Mbata reports.
After their arrest, the prison officials were soon released on 2,000 rand bail each. A report by the Judicial Inspectorate for Correctional Services has suggested the assault of an inmate is likely the main cause of his death. It also suggested that an internal investigation be undertaken and a report be submitted to the inspectorate. The report also highlights that the nurse on duty at the time understated the injuries suffered by inmate Dumsane Ngwenya. Ngwenya's aunt says she is disheartened to see the accused out on bail.
I don't understand how they got reinstated at work. I'm sure people fear them now after what they did. I just want them to get life imprisonment for what they did.
The report also suggested that the officers get training on the use of force. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
The ANC says it's not ready to announce what reconfiguration of its provincial executive in the Western Cape will look like, following a decision by the National Executive to make changes to the returning of the party in the province. The move is said to have upset the local leadership, which says they are still in the dark as to what this will mean. The decision to reconfigure the leadership was taken after a recent visit to the regions by the party's National Working Committee. EWN understands that the party's NEC is considering bringing in some old guards such as former Premier Ibrahim Rasool, who recently campaigned for the party in the Matsikama municipality, to salvage the situation in the province. Lindsay Dentlinga takes a look.
2 years since a new leadership was elected for the province, their future is uncertain. ANC spokesperson Mahlengi Bengu says a recent announcement to reconfigure the provincial leadership does not mean a complete disbandment, as was the case in 2019.
Reconfiguration means reinforcing, strengthening, amending.
After its worst electoral performance ever in the province, with a paltry 19% of the vote in the last election, the party is now facing further threats from the Patriotic Alliance, especially in rural towns, where already 2 ward councillors have jumped ship. Bengu says the party will report back on its findings once the NEC has decided on a turnaround plan.
Current leadership of the ANC has a responsibility to ensure that we've got functional structures on the ground. And if we don't have a good state of health, obviously, the national leadership must be engaged.
The ANC's vote of no confidence in the Western Cape PEC is said to have deflated local leaders who appear to be soft targets for new political homes. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
And the International Criminal Court has said it deplores new U.S. sanctions on its judges and prosecutors. Yesterday, the U.S. State Department announced new sanctions on 2 judges and 2 prosecutors in the ICC for engaging in efforts to prosecute U.S. and Israeli citizens. Secretary of State Marco Rubio accused the ICC of being a national security threat and an instrument of lawfare against the U.S. and Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has welcomed the U.S. move. The ICC has issued arrest warrants against Netanyahu and his former defense minister, Yoav Gallant, for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity over Israel's war in Gaza. Gold is trading at $3,344.53 an ounce. The rand is at 17.70 to the dollar, 23.81 to the pound, 20.62 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $67.11 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the R59 North. This is between
Mayor, this is in Meyerton between Joan Road and Heidelberg Road. Please be on the lookout there while traveling on the M2 West. We still have got that accident that happened near the Crown interchange. It's causing delays coming out of Heidelberg Road.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. A 16-year-old boy is expected to appear in the Athlone Magistrates Court this morning in connection with the attack of 3 members of parliament in Philippi.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko. Your vote is not just a click. It's a thank you, a nod, a way of saying we see you. Vote for your favorite local business now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
7 minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. Thank you for your contribution on the 702 open line. There's someone who sent us a voice note and suggested that they don't want to have another child, and they basically said, if you can sponsor my vasectomy, please say so. And I've since received a number of messages from a few people saying a vasectomy is free in government. So, that gentleman that sent us an email, you don't need any sponsorships. Just go to a government institution. Apparently, that is free. Papla on WhatsApp says, Clement, there's a link. So, Papla sent us actually a link. It's like free vasectomy Johannesburg. So, it's a link that you could open and you start filling up your details. But also, maybe just Google free vasectomy Johannesburg. That link should come up for you. But please, do not do a vasectomy until you've spoken to your wife. You don't want to cause problems here. Talk to your wife first. Okay? It's 8 minutes after 10. Time for our Hanging Out feature.
Hanging Out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
On our Hanging Out feature this morning, we are hanging out with Derek Hanekom. He is a retired politician. Can you believe? Do politicians actually retire? He's a retired politician, activist. He's a former cabinet minister. Recently, he was chairing the interim board of SAA. I know there's a new board that's been announced. But yeah, he is not only a former member of cabinet who has led in a number of ministries, but he's also someone whose personal history is deeply intertwined with the struggle for justice and democracy in our country. And I'm glad that he's going to spend some time with us this morning. Mr. Hanekom, thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you?
Hey, good, Clement. And good morning to all your listeners, your 702 listeners.
Are you retired?
Am I allowed to be retired?
I've never had a politician say so.
I'm mostly retired, and I think it's quite okay to be mostly retired. It depends really on what you do in your retirement and with your retirement.
Mm-hmm.
But my last kind of working session or working chapter was with SAA. But that, in fact, wasn't a full-time job. It was chairing the board. It's not like being a CEO.
Yeah.
It was good. I enjoyed it. And I think we achieved quite a lot in those 2 years. But that's come to an end. So now I am retired from any kind of remunerated employment, put it that way. Okay. I still do other things, obviously.
And in terms of politics, are you still involved, or have you taken a break from that?
No, I'm indirectly involved, put it that way. My wife is very active in the ANC's Veteran League, and that keeps her very busy. And, she's a much more capable person than I am, and capable people are always kept busy. So I give her as much support as possible. But I'm not involved in any formal party structures, and I don't want to be at this stage of my life.
Okay. I want us to talk a little bit about your upbringing. It's so fascinating. You grew up in Cape Town in an Afrikaner household. Can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and how it shaped the person that you are today?
Yeah, well, I always try to figure it out for myself. We can never really put one. You can't put your hand on it properly. What are all of us are the outcome of a variety of influences in our lives and circumstances, etc. So it wasn't quite an Afrikaner household. My mother was very English speaking, from England actually, came to South Africa just after the Second World War, married an Afrikaans speaking person, and at home she spoke English to him and he answered in Afrikaans. Initially in order to teach her to speak Afrikaans, but that just remained. So we spoke, and it all felt very natural. We spoke English to my mother, and we spoke Afrikaans to my father, and the siblings, we spoke English to each other. And then I went to a German primary school, just to, throw some more confusion into my life. When I went to the school, no German in my family. I couldn't understand a word. I think, Clement, my grade 1 and grade 2, my memories are so vague. I think I was in a total state of confusion, not understanding what was being said. But we passed through that. And luckily, through having been to the German primary school, I can speak German fluently. From the German primary school, I went on to the Afrikaans high school. But your question was really on influences. Well, I think that there's always a house influence, a home influence from parents, influence from siblings. And if my parents, unlike some other, for lack of a better term, but white activists in a situation where, the majority of white people were not opposed to apartheid, in fact, supportive of apartheid.
Yeah.
So it's a minority of white people that somehow became involved in democratic activities, activism, anti-apartheid work, etc. And I think you could speak to everyone and there'll be a slightly different story, but many would have come from activist families. In my case, I think it was just about values at home, being taught, no particular politics from my parents' side, but other than, being taught to respect people and to treat people respectfully. And then, the situation when I went to school, first in the German school, then to the Afrikaans school, it was always a case of being slightly different and having to, and it didn't bother me. I didn't think of it. I can reflect back on it today. But in the German school, I was a non-German speaking kid. I went to the Afrikaans school and, Afrikaans wasn't quite my first language. And I spoke with a German accent. And to crown it all, I was not a member of the NG Kerk, of the Dutch Reformed Church. I was Catholic. So that would have made me a kind of an outsider in many ways. And, it sort of shapes your personality, coping with being somewhat different.
Yeah.
Often makes you identify with more closely with other people who are somewhat different.
Yeah.
But also makes you, fight for your own space. And I think I got that at school largely by being very active in sport, going out of my way to, be friendly with people. So it wasn't something that was painful or difficult. But then I think real influences also happen, during school, having been one of a small number of Catholic kids at school. By the way, of course, we need to always say this: a white-only school, a school that had a small handful of Catholic kids, no Jewish, no black kids, obviously. And so the little group of Catholic kids had to go to separate catechism classes. And there I remember very clearly a Catholic priest that, gave us these catechism classes, having a profound influence on my political thinking, especially in later years at school. Then when I left school, my brother was at university. He'd become politically involved with the young Christian students, and
Yeah.
so he was an influence in my life
What-
as well. Sorry, I've gone on a little bit too long.
I'm interested in what the priest said because, I mean, as a white person growing up in those times, you could have just chosen to enjoy your privilege and not care much about the struggle for equality and freedom. As you say, many of white people at the time were quite comfortable with the status quo. What was it for you? What was the defining moment as a privileged white South African? What was that moment for you that thought, the system, something is not right with this system. Something has got to change, and I want to contribute towards that change.
Hey, Clement, I mean, there are defining moments, and there are other times when you can't actually put your finger on the moment. And I'll touch one or two maybe defining moments. But in this case, the priest who gave us these catechism classes was progressive. He believed in liberation theology, so he obviously believed in the equality of all human beings, and in his teachings of sort of theological teachings, if one can even call it that, preparing for your confirmation and so forth. He just imparted some of his values and some of his attitudes towards all people, that all people are equal in the eyes of God and are born equal, and then it's people themselves that then place themselves above others and create an inequality, but all people are born equal, and that kind of belief one grew up with very strongly. Just after school, by the way, I went to university. I went to the University of Stellenbosch because that's where most of us went. I did law because law was a little bit better than, I started doing law because it was a little bit better than just doing a BA. I dropped out halfway through, and I knew I'm going in the wrong direction. This is not really what I want to do. And I wanted a bit of adventure in my life, and I went traveling. I borrowed a bit of money. I went abroad, and my intention was to come back the following year and just think about a little bit and maybe be a bit clearer about what I actually wanted to do. But I ended up spending 2.5 years doing jobs in various countries. And when I came back, because one job just led to the other, etc. When I came back, I clearly saw things in a very different light, things that didn't necessarily bother me that much. Having been in a very different working environment, living environment, I came back to South Africa, and the way, well, sorry to say this, but the way my fellow whites treated black citizens bothered me immensely.
Yeah.
And then I sort of found my little space, because there were activist friends of mine who, especially at early stages, there were people with this organization called the Young Christian Students. And my wife, Trish, was also very active in YCS, as it was called. And she was sharing a house with my brother, Kali, who was a sort of a leading figure in this Young Christian Student movement. And in 1977, that's before you were born, Clement, obviously. Is it?
Yes, it is. Sadly.
Okay. In 1977, I mean, that was a year of banning of many organizations. And a friend of ours, I was living in Johannesburg at the time, a friend of ours who was part of the Young Christian Students had been detained, along with many other people, was held in John Foster Square. And a number of people organized a demonstration, a peaceful demonstration. But the people held in detention in John Foster Square had no contact with the world outside at all. They didn't see lawyers, they couldn't see family, nothing. So we decided, or the leaders of this protest action or demonstration decided that we would gather outside John Foster Square, light candles and sing Christmas carols. This was in December 1977, so that they could hear the solidarity from outside. I got roped into that demonstration, and we were all arrested under what was then called the Riotous Assemblies Act as an illegal gathering. Well, they're very peaceful. We'd driven to John Foster Square, sat down, lit our candles, started singing. But of course, we were surrounded by hundreds of policemen.
Yeah.
They arrested us. We spent the night in a cell. As it happens, there were 44 of us, exactly 22 men and exactly 22 women. And the 22 of us men, we were in one big cell. But, being the kind of person I am, I gave one of the policemen a slightly hard time. And in the morning, they called me out. And I knew, and to say it in Afrikaans, hier kom 'n ding. So they called me out, and this policeman assaulted me.
Sure.
And he made the mistake of not just beating my body, but he made the mistake of giving me a black eye. And so it was quite obvious that I'd been assaulted, and then I took up the case and sued the police. But, it was we were then all charged. Eventually the charges were dropped. But during that period, because Trish, my wife, was one of the main organizers of this demonstration, we decided in the months that followed this December 1977 event, we decided that there's room for peaceful protest. It must continue, but on its own, it's just not going to achieve the downfall of the apartheid government. And we decided then, very quietly, that we were going to make connection with the liberation movement, with the ANC.
Okay.
And one thing followed after the other. But, these are some of the, you were asking about the defining moments.
Yeah.
So I would say that was one of the defining moments.
One of them. Were you not one? Did you not have in your community people that were frowning upon or against you? People who felt like, "What are you doing? Why are you trying to be troublesome? Trish is very troublesome. She's leading this protest. Like your partner is a problem." Did you not have that? Because I've had conversations sometimes with, even to this day, some of my, I have a white friend who used to tell me that every time he would go home and he has dinner with his grandparents and his parents, they would be racist over the dinner table. And they don't like the fact that he's very liberal in his views and in his assessment and, of the world. So he's very different to his family. And I mean, it saddens him, of course, but this is still his family. He goes down and he says, all I do during the dinner table, during Christmas, is I end up fighting and just telling my grandmother, you cannot say that. It's gotten to a point where sometimes he doesn't even go home over Christmas because he doesn't like the conversations that happen over the dinner table, and they don't like also his political views. Did you experience something like that where some in your community felt, what the hell are you doing?
Not really, Clement. I mean, it's very rough. I mean, it's a sad story because it's very hard when that is the case. But there wasn't that kind of crass racism in my family. But more importantly, I suppose you gravitate to a different kind of community. So the community that I was and social circles that I had then established, it was a very different kind of social circle. So there wasn't any. I didn't have to sit through sessions like your friend has to sit through with family, and my circle of friends were all on the left, to put it that way. If they weren't just simple hippies, like I was mostly just a hippie in any event, until Trish kind of, she's still troublesome, by the way, and she thinks I'm even more troublesome. But sort of, it's like young. 70s hippies, but with some kind of political consciousness, put it that way.
Okay, got it. All right, we've got some of your favorite music here to play. So I'm going to start with Abdullah Ibrahim, Manenberg. Why is this special for you?
So we farmed for 5 years in Magaliesburg, and then we were arrested. And then we were held in Pretoria, and I was there for just under 3 years, if you include the detention period. But in our cells in Pretoria, as was the case in Robben Island, you could you could listen to records in the evening, and it would be played through on the intercom to your cell. And but for 5 years on the farm, I'd hardly listen to any music. And there in jail, in the prison cell, we were listening to music every evening. And there was a big collection in the Pretoria Security Prison because there had been, you were allowed to buy a record a month. And there'd been, a long history of political prisoners in the Pretoria Central Prison. And so there was a huge collection of long-playing records, put it that way. And that's where I first discovered, who was then called Dollar Brand, Abdullah Ibrahim. And Manenberg somehow just did it for me. I really loved Manenberg, and I still do.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, good morning, Clement. Katia from Spearview. I think Mr. Hanekom, he's one of the excellent people we have here in South Africa in public. He's well respected. He's calm and collected. He talked of values from his family. I think those values are working for him even at this day and age. May God give him more and more years to come. Thank you.
Oh, Clement, you've got one of my favorite South African politicians. I've got such great admiration for Mr. Hanekom, particularly for participating in a struggle when he could well have chosen not to. It's just speaks to the man himself. And also his participation in the ANC afterwards, always being the voice of reason, even when people profiled him racially. I can think of the likes of Julius Malema, who personally attacked him, and he stayed on. And so, yeah, so thank you very much for your contribution to our country.
Yeah, remember Jacob Zuma once called him an enemy agent, and he went to court, Mr. Hanekom, to challenge that and won. I'll ask him about that, and he'll respond to some of your WhatsApp voice notes after the headlines. It's 10:31. Swiss High.
Thanks, Clements. Good morning. A 16-year-old boy is expected to appear in the Athlone Magistrates Court this morning in connection with the attack of 3 members of Parliament. Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police, Ian Cameron, and his 2 colleagues sustained injuries in an attempted hijacking in Fertility this week. They were returning from an oversight visit in the police training college in the area when they came under attack. The future of close to 700 workers at Asamang Spearswook Iron Ore Mine is uncertain amid a critical threat of business closure. The looming mass job loss is a direct result of financial struggles faced by steel producer ArcelorMittal, the mine's only major client. And Uganda has agreed to receive migrants who do not qualify to remain in the US. The Foreign Ministry says that the agreement is in respect of third country nationals who may not be granted asylum in the US but are reluctant to or may have concerns about returning to their countries of origin. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the N1 North, we've got an accident reported heading towards the Maritzburg area. This one is right near the N17 and it's causing delays. Please be on the lookout there. It's affecting traffic also on the southerly direction, so please drive with care. If you're traveling in Meyerton, we still have got heavy traffic volumes. This is between Joan Road and Heidelberg Road. I'm now seeing roadworks taking place along this route, so it might be the reason for this 20-minute hold-up along this route while traveling on the N12 as well as the R24 West. We expect delays between Edenville Road and the Kirulis interchange due to more roadworks taking place there. Traveling along the N14 towards Deep Sloot, expect delays just as you approach the R114, and please do continue driving with care. I'll have your next traffic update at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When you vote in Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko, you don't just support a business, you help rewrite its future.
Gauteng's greatest, powered by Yoko, impacted our business in a very positive way. We've had a lot more feet coming through the restaurant. It's given us a lot more traction in the market, and we've seen a lot more new faces. As Grumpy's Cafe, I would encourage people to go onto Prime Media Plus and vote for their favorite establishment.
How it impacted my business, I think, is mostly through increased awareness of my brand. I think it expanded our reach a bit. And I think the biggest thing that I felt was just the kind of a buzz and an energy in the shop. At Love Books, we would encourage you to cast your vote at Prime Media Plus.
Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko. Your vote is more than a click. It could be a game changer for your favorite local business. Vote now on primemediaplus.com.
Vodacom is now the official telecommunications partner to all our national Springbok teams and South African rugby competitions. And when we say all, we mean every single one, from juniors to seniors, women's to men's, grassroots to World Cup glory. Vodacom is right there, connecting every try, tackle and team talk. This isn't just changing the game, it's creating extraordinary rugby moments. Vodacom, your front row seats to all things Springbok.
When you empower a woman, you empower a whole nation. Women have a remarkable way of multiplying whatever is placed in their hands. This August, we're celebrating Women's Month with the theme Building Resilient Economies for All. We reflect and honor the courageous women of 1956 who took a stand against the injustices of the past. We also recognize and celebrate all South African women who continue to lead, build, and inspire across every part of our society, from business and education to peace building and beyond. Yes, there is still much to be done. The pursuit to achieving total gender equality and empowerment will continue until every woman is able to enjoy the benefits of a safe and just society. #Rekaufela Basadi. #Women's Month 2025. A message by the National Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
It's that time of the year.
Sneezing, itchy, watery eyes, blocked noses and coughs. It's time to live, work, play and sleep allergy-free. For trusted relief for you and your family this allergy season, ask your pharmacist for the Adcock Ingram OTC Allergy Survival Pack. With products like Allergex Non-Drowsy, Cetisid, Levogex and more, we have you covered. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC. And visit beprepared365.co.za.
They opened their doors before sunrise, stayed up late, showed up. Now they've made it to the finals of Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko because of you. But they're not done yet. Your vote that could make them Gauteng's greatest. Go to primemediaplus.com now to cast it. Because support isn't just spoken, it's action. And your vote is a standing ovation for the Corner Cafe with the big dreams, the local legend who never gave up, the startup that's changing the game. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Let Yoko Counter fuel your business to greatness. Go to yoko.com to explore the new point of sale solution, saving hundreds of businesses time and money.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
23 minutes before 11 o'clock, you are listening to the Hanging Out feature, and today I'm hanging out with Derek Hanekom. He is sort of a retired politician, not still directly involved, but he is an activist at heart. He's a former cabinet minister, and we're just getting to know him better this hour on our Hanging Out feature. I've got a number of WhatsApp messages that have come through here, Mr. Hanekom. Robin says, Clement, I'm loving what your guest is saying. We need many more politicians like him. Another one says, hi, Clement. I admire Mr. Hanekom's upbringing that resulted in him being a beacon of hope for us. When people say racism is taught, it's true. He was born in that horrible time, but chose to be different because of loving parents. May God give him many more years to share the wisdom in this path. Another one says, hi Clement, I'm a retired security at Land Affairs, and I once transported Mr. Derek Hanekom to his flat in Yeoville. No bodyguards. God bless you. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for that. That takes us way back, right, Mr. Hanekom, when you were still in that land portfolio. Before then, many years later, you moved to tourism. One of the things one listener said before we went to the headlines is that it looks like the values that you were taught by your parents have worked for you. You've always been a voice of reason. There are times when you've said things that even your organization, the ANC, didn't like. At some point, they investigated whether you must be pushed out or, disciplined. I said Jacob Zuma at some point, the former president, called you an enemy agent. But he lost that because you went to court to challenge it. What gave you the confidence to be able to disagree with your organization and say, I really don't think this is correct, and say it, because that was very risky to you? But also to even call out, you were one of the NEC members. I remember when I was a political journalist, when we were reporting about NEC meeting, you were one of those that were saying, this man must go, referring to the former president. What gave you that confidence? Because others normally just keep quiet because they're scared that they'll lose their ministerial positions.
Yeah, Clement, let me firstly just thank the callers for the beautiful words. It really, really means a lot to me. I don't think it was a matter of confidence. It was a matter of just feeling very strongly that things were wrong, things had to be challenged. And obviously, in a political world, you try to do things in a way that it will have the desired effect. So it requires a bit of organizational work, a bit of mobilization. But when there are things that are wrong, I suppose it's in my nature to whether it's in the ANC or outside of the ANC, to challenge things that are clearly not right. And so referring specifically to the Zuma period, our country was being brought to close to complete ruin. He was not able to succeed, obviously not, but state capture was, a sort of a massive problem. And And the growth of corruption, it's not that it isn't there anymore. It's still a massive challenge facing our country, not just in the ANC, but in our society as a as a whole. The fact of the matter is, we in the ANC, if we wanted to restore some kind of integrity and regain some kind of public support and bring the ANC to what it is meant to be, we had to get rid of a very corrupt leader. And how do you achieve that? You achieve that through organization. So yes, it is true that especially in one particular NEC meeting, I called for him to step down, and a number of other members of the NEC supported it. It was, this is the story behind the story. It was a bit coincidental that I was the first to call for his resignation, not as president of the ANC, because he was elected president, but as president of the country. It was just the speaking list. And so some people spoke before me, they said nothing, and then I was next on the list, and I knew I had to open it up.
Yeah.
Which I did.
Yeah, you did.
And for 2 days.
You opened a can of worms, and there are some people that at the time were like, you're so troublesome. Even when you were having conversations, I remember in Parliament about a motion of no confidence in the former president.
Yeah.
And I remember then the ANC wanting to take action against you as well. What are your reflections on this organization right now? I mean, you keep saying we, the ANC. I imagine you are still a member of the ANC. I imagine you still support the party. Correct me if I'm wrong. But also, I'm interested in your reflections of the organization right now.
Well, yeah, I am still a member of the ANC, a paid-up member of the ANC. I'm not an active member of the ANC, but I certainly support the work that my wife does in the Veterans League, and I think there are some leaders of great integrity in the Veterans League. We've become personal friends with the president of the Veterans League, Snooki Zikalala, whom you know, Clement. I'm sure you know him well. What are my feelings about the ANC? Well, I'm certainly not uncritical. I think the efforts to, I use the word with some hesitation, the renewal of because this becomes jargon. The renewal process is not something that just happens, but the efforts to improve the ANC, to deal with the problems in the ANC need to be ongoing, because what happens in the ANC matters to the country. For me, it isn't about fixing the ANC for its own sake. No, not at all. No matter how important the ANC has been in my life, it's about what happens to the country, and it's about what the ANC can do to fix the problems in our country. Well, a dysfunctional ANC, an ANC that is a bit riddled with corruption or has, strong elements of corruption in it, is much less able to address some of these big societal challenges. And that the ANC has a wonderful constitution. Everyone should really read it. And the aims and objectives of the ANC, I strongly, strongly believe in them. But I also know that many things have gone wrong in the ANC. I'm not going to do what Malusi Gigaba did the other day and launch on an attack of the ANC or start attacking the ANC. But I think it is, sort of common knowledge that there are problems within these problems, and the leaders of the ANC are also aware of these problems.
Yeah.
Again, to repeat, I think what matters and what happens in the ANC, including the leaders that they elect, affects the country quite profoundly. So, what happens in the ANC matters to the country.
And of course, there are several leaders of the ANC that have reflected frankly around the state of this organization. What about the GNU? Your assessment so far?
Well, I think it's a good development insofar as the ANC did not get an outright majority. I think there are a lot of sort of myths, not myths about the GNU, but sort of almost wrongly portraying it. It's not as if people voted for a government of national unity. They did not, and that's somewhat wrongly presented in that way. People voted for their own parties. They wanted their own parties to become the majority. It didn't happen. And the best solution was then to create this coalition of political parties, the Government of National Unity, and it was the right way to go. And I believe could be, if it functions properly, could be a very good development in South Africa's, in the political landscape in our country. When I first entered government in 1994, there was a Government of National Unity. It sort of broke up in the middle of that term, but at this stage, the issue really is keeping it working, and people being able to set aside their own political agendas, which is never easy. When you come from a political party, your political party made you a member of parliament. Your first allegiance is often to the political party, but these leaders have to persuade their political parties that South Africa's interests must be put first.
Yeah.
Our first concern must be about South African citizens. So I get worried when the Government of National Unity gets a bit shaky. I'm glad that it's withstood some of the challenges it experienced a couple of months ago, and I hope it remains like that. At this stage, you've got the Government of National Unity, and you have a national dialogue side by side. The big question really is, can even the political parties that are now in the Government of National Unity find unity of purpose when it comes to a national dialogue?
Do you think, because often now we see other leaders of the ANC exploring even what other options would have looked like, do you think this is better than what we could have seen maybe with partnering with the EFF or partnering with the MK party?
Infinitely. I think the MK party is just an offshoot of the ANC, and it's a party of thugs, to put it bluntly. And a lot of the people who became active in the MK party were people who still face very serious charges against them, who left the ANC and obviously took a number of votes from the ANC. But I think it was a good development for the ANC.
Okay.
You should be, if there is a Government of National Unity, it should also be unity amongst those who don't necessarily agree on everything. But it can't be, uniting with people who are openly supportive of corruption or openly defiant of our constitution. There has to be some kind of, some sort of bottom line principles. You can't say this constitution, doesn't suit us, but we will join the Government of National Unity anyway, when the point of departure for this country and for the Government of National Unity has to be respect for the constitution.
What about the EFF?
Well, EFF was also reduced to a much smaller party now. I welcome the fact that the EFF is, to some extent, I think, maturing. I know I'll be, once again, knocked very hard for saying this, but I think some of their behavior in Parliament was actually quite despicable, quite immature, childish, juvenile, disruptive of parliamentary sessions. That can't be, and then somebody like Julius Malema, he's probably, is he 15 years older now than when he first went into Parliament? And I'm sure he may well feel a bit embarrassed himself about some of their behavior when they first went into Parliament.
Yeah.
I think there has to be a seriousness in the amongst the partners in a Government of National Unity. And I think some of the behavior of the EFF members still, makes that kind of unity difficult.
Okay.
But one would certainly hope that there'd be, a sort of a developing closeness, even, with organizations like the EFF. I do think it is more difficult with the MK party because the differences are so vast.
Okay, it's 10 minutes now before 11 o'clock. Kevin in Joburg, I'll start with your call after the break.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
What kind of message does this send around criminality policing?
We can, from our side as MPs, and that is certainly what we do as a trio. This is the work that we do. We won't be able to fix the police overnight, but on this journey of fixing the police, we also need communities to take responsibility, and whether that is to be a witness or whether that is to see what's going on at your neighbour's house, with your son, your daughter. Everybody has to take responsibility.
Nicholas Godsoe, DA MP.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
When service delivery fails, hope doesn't have to. Fix Local helps you report issues, escalate when you are ignored, and as a last resort, fix them yourself, safely and legally. Fix Local is more than a platform. It's a way for communities to stand up, speak out, and work with or hold local government accountable. Visit fixlocal.org.za to report burst pipes, broken streetlights, or other service delivery issues in your neighborhood. Also, lots of tips to help you organize in your community for action. 702 is proud to support Fix Local. Let's walk the talk and fix what's ours.
Do you know what's hiding behind the colorful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt, and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front of package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, HEALA.org, by the 30th of September.
Are you living with diabetes? Tired of painful fingerstick tests? Introducing a new continuous glucose monitoring system from Abbott Laboratories. The Freestyle Libre 2 system sends glucose readings straight to your compatible smartphone. With minute-by-minute glucose readings, optional glucose alarms, and excellent accuracy, the Freestyle Libre system is here to support you in the management of your diabetes. For more information and where to buy your Freestyle Libre 2 sensor, visit www.freestylelibre.za.com. Now available at your local pharmacy.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes before 11 o'clock, we're wrapping up our Hanging Out feature with Derek Hanekom. Let's go to your calls now. Kevin, you calling from Johannesburg. Good morning.
Yes, hi Clement, hi Derek. Nice
Sure.
to speak to you. I just wanted to reminisce a little bit. I was very good friends with Cully, Derek's brother, and what a marvelous man. He influenced my thinking as a young person greatly. And in fact, I run a non-profit organization now dealing with social justice issues around masculinity and so on, and fatherhood. But we used to work at Norwich Life together back in the late 80s. And I got to meet Derek actually once in the offices when Cheryl Carolus was still there. And I know Derek will remember her fondly too. But yeah, unfortunately, Cully's passed, and I was very sad to hear of his passing. I saw him in Fishhook about a year before he passed, because he was down in Fishhook in Cape Town. And but I just wanted to pay kudos to him. He was a wonderful man, and I think a reflection on their family. Just really two amazing people. So just wanted to tell Derek that he was this guy that really influenced my thinking. We used to hang out at Jameson's, which was literally an underground pub in the center of Joburg, and there were many ANC and PAC stalwarts at that time that used to meet there together. So yeah, just a reflection.
Oh, thanks for that, Kevin. In Johannesburg, here are some WhatsApps as well.
Oh, hi, Clement. This is Sedwell. You sitting in that studio with my leader, Mr. Derek Hanekom. You know what? He's a true leader indeed, because I remember during Zuma's tenure, he was fired because, he was firm about what he thought was not right. The corruption, and all sorts of things that were not right. Thank you very much. Thanks, my leader.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning to 702 listeners, and good morning to you, Mr. Hanekom there. Clement, thank you very much for bringing Mr. Hanekom on board, my brother. That man is having an integrity. That man, he was one of the deployees of the ANC, that he never had any quarrels, any scandal as the deployees that are in the current cabinet now. He's the man that stood up against his nation and fought for us African, and he made sure that he speak his minds in terms of creating the equality of us as African and the whites in this country. Thank you very much, Mr. Hanekom. We still love you, we still miss you, and I know you're not going to go forever wherever you're going. We know you are partially retired, but then don't disappear. Thank you very much, Joe in Soweto.
Well, thank you so much for your WhatsApps there. One person says, Clement, Derek Hanekom there is a great human. That person you have in studio. Is he planning to write a book by any chance, Mr. Hanekom?
No, Clement. Some people have this compulsion to write and real desire to write it all down. I prefer to hear other people's stories, read other people's stories, and But by the way, this program is called Hanging Out.
Yeah.
But you're too much of a political creature yourself, Clement. We haven't been hanging out. You've been asking me political questions. You've asked me nothing about what films I've watched recently, what do I do with my life. One day we will hang out, but not on the air.
That's what happens because I'm such a political animal when I'm hosting politicians or former politicians. Yeah, I get carried away here. But here's another question that is a bit political. Someone is asking about ambassadorship. Would you accept any ambassador role to the US if that was offered to you?
To the US, I don't think the US would accept me, but I don't think I've become, my activism includes very actively supporting the people of Palestine, and I'm sure I've made a number of offensive comments on social media. By the way, part of my activism, and a very important part now, is still chairing the board of the Ahmad Kathrada Foundation, and they are really doing excellent work, and so that means a lot to me. But a few years ago, I would have accepted an ambassadorial posting, but not anymore. Yeah. I'm okay. I'm enjoying my space. I don't want to live in some other country. I enjoy living in South Africa with all of our problems and challenges. I will travel and go and see other countries, no more as a minister, but interacting with ordinary people in other countries, sitting in a pub. Trish and I went to Scotland and England a few months ago, and just sitting in pubs in Scotland and just talking to the person in the bar and other people. For me, that's real traveling. I had great opportunities as a minister and met fantastic people, but it's still, mixing with the elite, if you like, political leaders, etc. And it is really nice just to travel and meet and interact with ordinary people.
Yeah. Well, Derek Hanekom, thank you so much for making time for us. And really, we appreciate the contribution that you've made towards the freedom that many of us enjoy today. I really appreciate you coming through to hang out with us. It's a minute before 11.
Take a ride back to the greatest decades in music.
Because Saturdays on 702 are all about timeless tunes.
At 10 a.m.
Kenny Maestri sets the stage with the greatest hits of the 80s and 90s.
At 2 p.m.
Pushaza Sibia keeps the nostalgia flowing
with more classics you can't help but sing along to.
Then at 6 p.m., Richard Mwamba celebrates the sounds of the continent.
This is Africa.
It's more than just music.
It's your Saturday, wrapped up in the sounds you love.
Only on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Celebrate the arrival of spring with jazz from all corners at Nairock Sculpture Park in the Cradle of Humankind on the 7th of September, featuring Kujenga, Tandintu, Lindas Kakani, and Sia Makuzeni. Narox invites you to indulge in nature and art, exploring exhibitions on the rolling lawns and meandering waterways. A perfect occasion for family and friends with curated culinary pleasures and refined bar offerings. Limited tickets are available from naroxarts.com. Narox is a private, not-for-profit foundation to benefit the arts. All income is used to maintain the grounds, the artist residency program, and artist support.
Change arrives kicking and screaming. It's challenging, impatient, confusing. Change is a moment of peace. Change is life-affirming. Change is growth. Change is opportunity. We've always believed it's worth investing in. For over 3 decades, we have been committed to seeking out the best investment opportunities for you, wherever they may be. 91. Investing for a world of change. 91 is an authorized FSP.
Light the fire this game day with a winning lineup from Checkers. Like Steakhouse Classic Man-Size Rum for 170 Rand per kilo. Fanta Sprite or Stony Soft Drink 2 litres. Any 2 for 35 Rand. Save 13%. And Monster Energy Drink 500 mils. Any 2 for 29 Rand. Save 24%. Light the fire, South Africa, and let Checkers do the rest. Deals valid until this Sunday. Only at Checkers.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. A 16-year-old boy is expected to appear in the Athlone Magistrates Court this morning in connection with the attack on 3 members of Parliament. Chairperson of Portfolio Committee on Police, Ian Cameron, and his 2 colleagues sustained injuries in an attempted hijacking in Fertility this week. They were returning from an oversight visit to the Police Training College in Fertility when they came under attack in their vehicle. A second suspect, also a teenager, is expected to appear in absentia as he remains in hospital. Cameron says the attack was a serious and deliberate attack that underscores the risks faced during oversight work.
What was scary about it is that they just kept on coming. Like they weren't like deterred in any way. So, 2, 3, 4 times, they just, as soon as we pushed back, they would just come back again. Definitely, they were very, very determined.
Staying in the Western Cape, residents of Guyasa in Khayelitsha are hoping that the alleged killers of a 7-year-old girl could spend the rest of their lives behind prison walls. Lolita Kowa was murdered last month and her body was found in a dump site. Odwa Jack and Nogutula Macheseni have been charged for her murder. Lolita was last seen playing with Macheseni's daughter at the couple's home before she was reported missing. Jack and Macheseni have abandoned their bail after failing to secure an alternative residential address. Community worker Miki Linda says Lolita's murder has caused a lot of anxiety in the community.
Our children are staying indoors. They are always watching TV. We are scared them to go outside. That is why now we are thinking we mothers, we must go straight to the government to give us another structure that can be a place that every child when he's from school, he can go there.
The future of close to 700 workers at Asmang's Beeshoek iron ore mine is uncertain amid a critical threat of business closure. The looming mass job loss is a direct result of financial struggles faced by steel producer ArcelorMittal, the mine's only major client. Since 2023, ArcelorMittal has brought to attention its challenges, including electricity tariffs and import tariffs on steel. Nokayam Dambo reports.
Asmang has served a Section 189 notice in terms of the Labour Relations Act, indicating its intention to begin consultations regarding the possible retrenchment of 688 workers. The National Union of Mine Workers says it wants full disclosure from the company, including the commercial reasons for the proposed retrenchments and why other alternatives were rejected. The union says it wants to know the rationale for considering care and maintenance instead of outright closure and details on the impact on the community and existing long-term contracts. The NUM says consultations are continuing on possible alternatives to the retrenchment, including hiring and overtime freezes, redeployment and voluntary separation packages. Nogukhanya Mdambo, Eyewitness News.
And Uganda has agreed to receive migrants who do not qualify to remain in the U.S. The Foreign Ministry says the agreement is in respect of third country nationals who may not be granted asylum in the U.S. but are reluctant or may have concerns about returning to their countries of origin. Uganda's Foreign Affairs Permanent Secretary Vincent Barige confirmed on social media platform X, saying the agreement is temporary. Under the agreement, Uganda has agreed to accept deported migrants as long as they do not have criminal history. The move is part of an attempt by Donald Trump's administration to get more countries to accept deported migrants who are not of their own citizens. Gold is trading at $3,344.53 an ounce. The rand is at 17.70 to the dollar, 23.81 to the pound, 20.62 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $67.11 a barrel.
In Riverlea, there's been an accident on the N1 South. It's right near the N17. It's causing heavy traffic volumes coming out of Bettina Sisulu Road. So please be on the lookout there. While traveling along the Mike 1 South, we've got roadworks taking place right near the Crown interchange. As a result, traffic is heavily backed up coming out of Parktown. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 North approaching the Kirulis interchange.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. A 16-year-old boy is expected to appear in the Athlone Magistrates Court this morning in connection with an attack on 3 members of Parliament.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Show up for the finalist who showed up for you. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko. Vote for your favorite local business now on primediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Eight minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome. This is the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Time for our Thursday dialogue.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
So, on our Thursday dialogue today, I want us to really take some time to reflect on what transpired at Maponya Mall about a week ago, but I'm not limiting it to that. I really want to ask why government has failed to deal effectively with the violence and tensions between e-hailing drivers and taxi operators. Why do you think this has been difficult to resolve? There are violent clashes between taxi operators and e-hailing drivers that exploded last week after tensions saw an e-hailing driver killed. There are 2 e-hailing vehicles that were burnt outside Maponya Mall as well. And a driver was murdered, and his vehicle was set alight outside the Soweto Mall. A passerby and a second driver sustained gunshot wounds, and they were taken to hospital. And what this incident has done now is spark outrage in that community, and that has resulted in protests around the mall where the incident occurred. The Gauteng Roads and Transport MEC, Kidiboni Diale Tlabela, has since promised to resolve tensions between e-hailing drivers and taxi operators. But there are interventions that have been made before in the past. Why did those not work? Has government failed here to even implement some of the laws and regulations that exist? We have invited Graham Fritz, who is the Secretary of Santaco in Gauteng, to join this conversation with us. We've got Lesiba Mpia as well, who is with the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport, and Melithemba Mnguni, who is the Secretary General of the E-haling Partners Council. I want to start off with you as Santaco, Graham. Thank you for making time for us. As Santaco, what have been, because I do remember that we've covered several meetings between taxi drivers, e-hailing, taxi operators, e-hailing drivers. There have been meetings that have been held with the government, some interventions. There were laws that were introduced to try and deal with the tensions. Why are we still not finding a resolution to these concerns that have since been raised a while back? Graham, I think you may be muted.
Good afternoon, Clement.
Sure.
And
go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Clement, and good afternoon to all the listeners. And thank you for the opportunity, Clement, and also good afternoon to my colleagues in the meeting. Well, let me start, Clement, by saying condolences to the family for the person that has passed on. And we wishing, as Santaco, we wishing everything of the best for the family with the funeral and all the arrangements around it, as well as our best wishes and recovery to all the people that has been injured in this unfortunate incident. Yeah, Lesiba, at the moment, and according to our knowledge and according to our agreements, there shouldn't be any tiff between the e-hailers and the taxi industry. We have come to an agreement as Santaco, and also at the malls, all those arrangements has been made. So to us, it's quite a surprise, and we are honestly this. As I say, it's a big surprise to us that this has happened. Everything has been done, all agreements has been agreed to, and resolutions has been resolved. So honestly, this one to us, it's a very big surprise, Clement. Thank you.
Okay, but what are the issues? Because I don't think it's true, Graham, that there are no issues between taxi drivers and e-hailing drivers. In fact, the residents of Soweto have pushed out taxi last week. I remember the residents didn't even want taxis in the area because they said, you guys are putting pressure on them. You're trying to choose which mode of transport they must go with. So I don't think it's necessarily true that there are no disagreements. So if there's a resolution, why are residents then saying that taxi operators that are actually trying to determine for them what mode of transport to use?
Yeah. As I said, I'm not aware of that, but the agreement is that the e-hailers has got a specific spot where they have to drop off and pick off people. And let's go especially to Maponya Mall. It's a circle in front of one of the entrances, and there's an elephant there. So everybody goes there, and then the e-hailer goes and drop their people off there and pick up the people that has requested rides from there. So what's really happened there, as I say, I don't know, and we are surprised. If that has happened because of the taxi industry, as I said, we are not aware of it.
All right. Let me bring in Melithemba Mnguni, who's the Secretary General of the E-Hailing Partners Council. Melithemba, Santaco is saying there are no issues here. Then why do we see some e-hailing operators and drivers complain sometimes about the pressure and the harassment that they get from the taxi operators? How do you see it? Do you agree with Graham that there are no issues here?
Unfortunately not. I think that's where the inconsistency is between what's happening on the ground and what is understood by the leadership at the top. The reality is that I can give you a list, apart from Maponya Mall, a list of places where e-hailers are not allowed to operate. They are denied access to those areas. Maponya Mall, the circle that Mr. Graham is referring to, it's there. That was the circle that was dedicated for e-hailing. But practically, it hasn't been happening. Hence the impatience that you saw in Soweto, where the residents were saying that this has been promised to us, that the e-hailers will be allowed to pick up at this spot, but it is not happening. Hence, even the banning of the cars happens. That's where the e-hailers would drop off and pick off at the traffic light by the gate there. So there is that different understanding from the leadership and what is happening on the ground. And I must say that also this is an issue that is this is something that has become lucrative for those that are operating on the ground. There are those that are doing this out of hate or animosity. There are those that are doing this for financial gains because they make a lot of money. They confiscate these cars and then they make demands of extortions and they make a lot of money out of it, and it keeps motivating them. And also the other issue of no consequences for them. Because like we were having just the protest march where we were saying, let there be law enforcement. The department got the taxi violence policing unit. Let that unit be deployed in these areas. We call them the hotspots, no-go areas. They are there, they are not.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's why I was a bit surprised when Graham says there have been agreements. Lesiba, maybe let's bring you in here. Lesiba Mpia, who is with the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport. Are you aware of any agreements, and what do they entail? And if really there are agreements, why then would the e-hailing drivers say there's still no-go zones and sometimes they get harassed by taxi operators?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Let me also start by sending a message of condolences to the family that has lost their loved one. Speedy recovery to those that are recovering in hospital. What we are aware of is that there has been a recognition that the Section 66 of the National Land Transport Act had to have a provision that gives, provision for the e-hailing to operate in South Africa, because that piece of legislation was restricted to what we formerly know as metered taxis.
Which
Now,
piece
that
of legislation is that?
gives the
Is
right.
that the National Land Transport Act?
It is the National Land Transport Act as enacted in 2009. The shortcoming is that when the boom happened in 2011 and 2012, we must concede that government was not ready for the growth of the e-hailing service. So for the past 10 years or so, the fourth and the fifth parliament was seized with the work of bringing about an amendment to the legislation that allows or provides for the e-hailing to actually be recognized by law. And you would know, Clement, that it was signed into law by the president in 2024. It currently awaits the final regulations to be completed by the minister and therefore to be given to provinces. But here's my response as I respond to you directly. There is no no-go area, and there shouldn't be. But what is a disparity is that the cordial relationship we have with the stakeholders, both the provincial leadership as well as the e-hailing provincial leadership, might not translate into the same harmony to the ground situation. And it would be remiss of me to then be certain or speak with certainty that the incident that happened at Maponya should directly point to the taxi industry. It is alleged, it is unacceptable as it is. However, we are also brought to the attention of the fact that the fragmentation of the e-hailing services itself brings about many challenges. It brings about intra-challenges within itself.
Yeah.
So where I stand as government, I think we want to treat the matter with sensitivity while acknowledging that there are allegations that are made, and we know that those allegations are currently being tested. But we don't have, and we shouldn't have, a no-go area for anyone.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we have engaged the...
You've engaged
Yes.
who?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, we have engaged the mall facilities that they should be able to, within their planning, make provisions for access. There shouldn't be a mall that does not have access of e-hailing services, much as they have holding area for the taxi operators.
Okay. I mean, there are no-go areas, unfortunately, Lisiba, and there is harassment that continues. And I bet you if I open the lines to people who have been told by e-hailing drivers, come sit in the front because I'm so scared if you sit at the back, people will call in and tell you of their experiences. Here's my question around the regulations we are waiting for. Will those deal with price setting? Because that seemed to be one of the biggest areas of dispute here. Because the price, there's a complaint that with e-hailing drivers, the price is set automatically by the system. So app owners who want to incentivize the market, they can do so by just lowering the price and to maintain service as a competitive market. Would the regulations deal with that concern that's been raised? Because how you regulating the pricing?
Yes, of course. Melithemba would know that he and the constituency would have made submissions to the regulations themselves. Actually, they were published in 2023 draft regulations, and they do take into account the pricing matter, or rather the fare matter, because we refer to it. Well, as Gauteng, we then went an extra mile of putting about, systems. We have a proof of concept of what we refer to as the integrated fare management, meaning that we, Premier Panyaza Lesotho would have spoken much about a single ticketing system. Within that integrated system, we would want to regulate, as empowered by law, by the way, to regulate prices of each and every mode of transport, be it taxi, be it bus, but the regulation should sit with us as government. I must say that the frustration of the e-hailing services is the when this is going to come into effect, and it is acknowledged. And I must agree with you, Clement, that much as we say that there shouldn't be no-go areas, the practicality is that the public is feeling the wrath of it. And that is what we have brought to the attention of the taxi industry, to say, speak to your constituency, because what they are doing is illegal. We've seen video footages of evidence where people have been harassed, where people have been taken out of their families. You can't even travel to a funeral out of the province as a family, because there is what is known as taxi marshals that will not allow you to drive through their designated area of operation, and which is what we have condemned. With the contempt, but it has gone beyond that. The MEC does not only speak to condemnation, but she has put together a 100-strong team to deal against conflict that are within the transport sector.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we can start seeing the results of that. And you'll explain to us maybe after the break how that 100-strong team, what exactly it's going to do. It's 23 after 11 o'clock. When we come back, I'll get Graham. I'll give him an opportunity to respond, bring back Melithemba and Lisiba. I want to hear from you as well. So give us a call on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. How do we bring to an end these clashes between taxi operators and e-hailing drivers? You can forget about what happened at Maponya Mall. Broadly, you see the harassment. We see the videos. The tensions are there. There are disagreements. The sad thing is that is leading to people dying. That's unacceptable. That's leading to violence. That's leading to people not exercising their autonomy and deciding what mode of transport they want to use, because there are people out there who want to decide for themselves what mode of transport to use. It's unacceptable. How do we bring that to an end? It's 24 after 11.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
4 years almost to that fateful day when Babita Deokaran, a fearless whistleblower, was silenced. Rakesh, how are you as a family?
She lived for something that transpired now. Everything is coming now to the fore. And it's difficult for us. The name came up in 2021, so was the trail not followed?
Are you as a family being kept up to speed about what has happened since?
We have Never.
Are we continuing to fail, your sister?
Exactly.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Are you looking for the best savings on spectacles? At Specsavers, enjoy 1,500 Rand off when you get tested at South Africa's trusted and most established optical group. Get 1,500 Rand off all frames in store, or use your 1,500 Rand off on our leading lens enhancements, such as drive light lenses that reduce artificial glare whilst driving. Book online or call your nearest store today. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
Hi everyone, I'm Dean McPherson, the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. Since I was appointed just over a year ago, we've laid a firm foundation in the department, and after tabling our 7.6 billion rand budget for growth, we're now turning plans into action. That means that we're moving government departments into our own state-owned buildings to save you billions of rands in rent. We're unlocking public land to build affordable housing, create shelters for victims of gender-based violence, and to boost food production. We're also tackling corruption head-on without fear or favor. And we're giving young South Africans real opportunities through a reformed EPWP program that focuses on skills and long-term jobs. And this is only the beginning. With your support, we're building a capable and professional department that delivers infrastructure, creates jobs, and puts public assets to work for the public good. The best is yet to come because we're building a better country for you, brick by brick.
After a short migration, the family arrives at the premier resort, rich in food, drink, and entertainment. The young, freed from classroom captivity, head straight for Kids Club and the safety of the herd. The adult male meanders to the scuba center, while the matriarch basks by the pool.
Book your resort escape to Knysna, East London, Scottborough, or Sunny Pass at premierhotels.co.za.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Focused on the declining buying power of the South African middle class.
The overall inflation rate, when you see it from Stats A, it looks like it's under control. But what you experience, what you engage in with every day, and in South Africa it's mostly food, transport, electricity, paying for waters, etc. Those numbers are significantly higher. And so when you look at your money after you've paid for those items, you have very little left.
Kevin Links is the chief economist at Stanlib.
The Money Show.
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB, backing the Ideas Fund by advancing capital to African infrastructure investment managers. Your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
28 minutes after 11 o'clock, I'll come to your calls and WhatsApps after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines because we are getting closer to that. Let me bring in Graham first, who's the Secretary of Santaco in Gauteng. Graham, what are the issues that you have? So you said that there's an agreement. Maybe you can just expand more on what the agreement has been. But in as far as issues that Lisiba mentioned around, for instance, price setting, the need to regulate the prices. Are you comfortable with that at Santaco? The regulation of prices across the board, e-hailing, taxi operators as well?
Hi, thank you, Clement. Yes, that would really be welcome, Clement, to regulate the industry, transport industry as such. And we are also in the process of going cashless, and we'd appreciate if we can use one ticket system for everybody, where we start with the ride from the e-hailers, taking people to the taxi ranks, and then the ranks then to maybe Gauteng and such, even to Prasa, and then on the other side again at the place of work they do the same. So we are really looking at that. And that would really be helped. And then the regulation would assist us by doing that as such.
Melitemba, would that work for you as e-hailing partners? Yes,
it should work, but I must make it clear that the integration system that Mr. Lesiba is referring to does cover the ticketing system not the fares in particular. And what we are asking for is not far-fetched, but rather there in the Act. NLTA, Section 66, subsection 3. It says the minister or MEC in consultation with the relevant planning may determine a fare structure for meter taxi services, and the MEC must publish the fare structure in the public, in the provincial gazette. I'm sorry. So that is what we are asking for in terms of the pricing, the amount to be charged, because right now there is what they call dynamic pricing, where you are not certain of the prices. There is a commission that is not clear and so forth. Those are the issues that are there now. And the act that we are referring to, it is the act that is there, not the new regulation that is referring to. Currently, the MEC is given that authority with the NLTA 2009, and that's what we are asking for, with the understanding that there is new regulation, but we are asking for this in particular. And I'm sure when you were listening to Mr. Lesiba earlier saying there are no-go areas for on their side, that's what we have been in pains with. Trying to liaise with the department, and the attitude that we get. And as long as we don't diagnose the issues and accept them, we will not come up with the appropriate remedies. I must agree with Graham in terms of the leadership of Santaco. We've been in talks with them. The understanding from their side, they are not the ones that agree with what is happening on the ground. And there is people that are taking opportunity of the lack of law enforcement within the ground, and they use that to go and perpetuate this. Hence, we are asking for law enforcement to take care of that. The leadership of Santaco, we've been in talks with them, and they don't condone such. It is the law enforcement that needs to deal with these issues. But there is that denial that is there to accept these issues. Yeah. Hence, we find ourselves in such a situation.
Yeah, it's 11:32 now. We'll hear from you on 011-883-0702 on WhatsApps as well after the headlines. Bali, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. A 16-year-old is expected to appear in the Athlone Magistrates Court today in connection with the attack on 3 members of Parliament this week. Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police, Ian Cameron, and his colleagues Nicholas Gotzel and Lisa Schickling sustained injuries in an attempted hijacking in Fertility this week. They were returning from an oversight visit to the Police Training College in Fertility when they came under attack in their vehicle. Police have destroyed drugs and unregistered medicine worth more than 420 million rand in Gauteng today. In the past 3 years, police have destroyed almost 5.3 billion rand worth of drugs, including mandrax, cocaine, as well as heroin. And search and recovery efforts for a missing pilot at Durban's beachfront are continuing today, a week after his light aircraft crashed into the ocean during an air show. Private companies and recreational drivers are assisting in the search for the 61-year-old pilot. Those are the headlines this EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
In Rivoli, we still have got that accident reported on the N1 South near the N17. Delays from Albertina Sisulu Road. While travelling on the Mark 1 South, we've got delays from Parktown to the double-decker section. That's due to roadworks taking place along this route. More roadworks are taking place along the N12 as well as the R24 West between Edenville Road and the Kiddies Interchange, also causing a bit of a hold-up there, so please be on the lookout. If you're heading towards the city of Tshwane via the N14 East towards the R114, do expect delays along this route coming out of Malibongwe Drive. Amo Ramela, otherwise Karabujali will have your next traffic update from the midday report onward. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult day 3731. I'm really struggling to explain my parents to my therapist. Might send him to live with them so he can see for himself. What if he ends up in therapy too? Wait, what if they love him more than me?
Finally learning about mental health. Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's convenient and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
It's that time of the year. Sneezing, itchy, watery eyes, blocked noses and coughs. It's time to live, work, play and sleep allergy-free. For trusted relief for you and your family this allergy season, ask your pharmacist for the Adcock Ingram OTC Allergy Survival Pack. With products like Allergex Non-Drowsy, Cetacid, Levogex and more, we have you covered. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC. And visit beprepared365.co.za.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
The 12th edition of the DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, is here. Experience unbeatable vibes this Heritage Weekend at the Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit on the 20th and 21st of September. On Saturday the 20th, catch Don Toliver, Questa, Inkabi, Zezwe, and more. And then on Sunday the 21st, don't miss the iconic Lauryn Hill on her 25th anniversary tour with special guests Wyclef Jean, YG Mali, and Zion Mali with Lira, Mandisi Janchi, Zoe Mudicha also performing on the Sunday. Tickets at Ticketmaster. The DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, proudly supported by 702.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
23 minutes before 12 o'clock on our Thursday Dialogue this morning, we are having a conversation about what needs to be done to end the tensions and the disagreements, which often sometimes lead to violence and harassment sometimes between the e-hailing drivers and the taxi operators. Can the violent clashes really come to an end? What is it going to take? What do you think government has failed to do to rein in and try and regulate and resolve these issues? We've got Graham Fritz, who is with Santaco. Lisiba Mpia is with the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport, and Melithemba Mguni is with the E-Hailing Partners Council. I'm going to take your calls now, and then I'll go to Lisiba in a moment. 011-883-0702. Sanele in Soweto, let's start with you. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. How are you?
Sure. Go ahead.
I'm good. Sanele here from Soweto. We condemn what had happened in Soweto in line with the e-hailing. But what we need to do as a society, we need to be fair and be honest about what is happening on the ground. Because even I also foresee another war whereby the e-hailers will be fighting amongst themselves. If you go to most of the malls, you will realize that there are those guys who now do not use the app to get their customers. But instead, they will just approach everybody who's coming with groceries and approach them, try to compare the prices. And in a nutshell, you could see that they're acting as taxi drivers because they are the one abashela customer to give them a transport. And I think that's one of the frustrations that even the e-hailers are not talking about. People are not using app. The e-hailers are now not going to the app to get their customers. They approach people. So some use cars that are not even legitimate to be in an e-hailing system. Yes.
Yeah.
Those what frustrate the taxi drivers out there, because Sanelo will not go to a taxi. They will even ask, how much is the app charging you? If the app says 50 Rand, they will say, offer me 30 Rand and take me to the destination.
Yeah, so you're not allowing the people to book for themselves on the app. I got you, Sanelo. I'll get them to respond to that. Tebogo and Ramsar, hi.
Hi, morning, Clement. I think also on what Sanele said, I'm going to differ with that before I make my point quickly. How do you confirm that those guys who are collecting customers by hand are e-hailers. Because now what he's saying now is now talking about something different, which is not confirmed. He doesn't know that those guys are e-hailers. He doesn't know if they have apps. So I don't think it's going to be fair to say those are e-hailers. My point is, what happened in Maponya, it happened, I think, a couple of years ago in Soshanguve when a young man lost his life also. I think, if I stand to be corrected, his car was burned as well. He was still a student due to a taxi incident as well. My issue with Santaco is that they are not dealing with their patrollers, and they keep now running away from the responsibility. They keep saying when they come on TV and radio, they keep saying there are no go areas. Clement, I own a fleet of e-hailing cars. There's a lot of no-go areas, especially in the township, which is very sad. In the suburbs, these guys, they can go to any mall. They go to any mall, even those malls where there's a taxi rank next to. They would still go into that mall and pick up. The issue is the township. What is happening in the township? And the Santaco guys, they are very much aware. I mean, I pay almost every day. One of my drivers, they would pay 100 or 200 every day to these patrollers because they are asking them for a permit, which we don't have permit.
Yeah. Okay. Got you. Issue of permits as well. I'll put that to Lesiba. Let's go to Tabang. Tabang, hi. You are calling from Kempton Park.
Yes. Hi, Clement.
Sure.
The challenge that we have, it is the taxi. They are a problem to everybody, not only e-hailing drivers. Even if I'm taking my family, they are coming to terrorize us. Even if I pick up somebody that I see that is an elderly woman, I find challenges. So it's not about the regulation. It's about the bullying that the taxi they are doing to the society. And they don't want to admit that. It's not about e-hailing or regulation. Even if I'm driving my personal car, I have to prove to them this is my wife. I need to kiss that to show that this is my wife. I'm not taking their customers. And people, we have rights to take any car that we want. So that's why I'm just commenting on this to say it's not about the regulation, but it is about the taxi people who doesn't want to admit what they are doing is wrong and terrorizing the society. As even if you are a passenger or you are driving your personal car, it's a problem. If I go to Santin to take a Gautrain, I'm told that I can't get a car. My family cannot pick me up here. I have to walk somewhere meters to get my auntie to come and pick me up.
Sure, yeah, Tabang, unacceptable. Thank you for that in Kempton Park. Let me get them to my guests to respond. Lesiba, let me start with you. You can respond to what has been raised so far, but I'm more interested in the issue of permits, that now you've got these patrollers that are working with the taxi operators saying, do you even have a permit to exist here? Is that a requirement from the e-hailing drivers that they must somehow have permits as if they are taxi operators?
Yes, actually, the National Land Transport Act is very explicit that if you are going to operate the vehicle in exchange for monetary compensation, it is a requirement of you to possess a operating license.
Is it sectional?
But the operating license...
Is it a standard permit or is it just an operating license? Because there are certain areas that the e-hailing drivers are saying, you don't have a permit to operate in this section of town or township.
Yes, no. It is standard. It's a requirement. It's a prerequisite. It's non-negotiable. It's recognized by law, the operating license, referred to as permits in other pockets of society. But how the law or the legislation defines it, it says that everyone who operates a motor vehicle in exchange for funds or for compensation must possess an operating license. The regime is in this fashion, Clement. The problem is that people buy cars before they get an operating license. Whereas you are supposed to apply and get approved for the operating license before you can put the vehicle on the ground. And that is, we must concede that from a law enforcement point of view, we have been very laxed as government. But the issue is that by the time you must enforce, the sanction also becomes that you must, pound a vehicle. And this is where we're trying to find each other with the sector to say, be compliant, go and at least demonstrate on the ground with the police officer who has a discretion to let you go or not, but at least be able to demonstrate that you are in the process of application. That's what the new regulation, even the old legislation before it was amended, brought into being. That if you don't have an operating license, you are in contravention. People then, think that the receipt is the operating license. And at that point, it becomes the discretion of the police officer to say, the law says I must look and verify the legitimacy and validity of an operating license.
Okay.
But I think I must also respond to Melithemba just in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I've never said that there's no go area. I said there should not be, but the reality on the ground is that there is. And what are we doing as government? There's a force multiplier of boots on the ground that we've put up. Because one of the issues is that these cries are not only coming from the e-hailing service. They are coming from normal members of society who are saying that I am being taken out of this e-hailing service and being forced into a taxi, and that is unacceptable. We've brought this to the attention of the leadership, and we've told them that we are now using the law against the people who are perpetuating this type of
Let me quickly get Graham and Melithemba to respond. Melithemba, let's start with you. Are you aware of, because the complaint here is that sometimes as e-hailing drivers, you approach customers directly. I've seen this like at the airport, for instance, where people come to you, but I guess there it's different because you don't really have taxi operators operating in that area. But do you do that, and is that fair to the taxi operators? Because then that would mean you approach us as customers coming out of the mall before we even go to the taxi rank or the area where the taxis are located. Yeah, Melithemba.
Yes, there are such incidents happening, but what I need to discredit is to say those are e-hailers. And I don't want to deny and say e-hailers are not involved in that, but you must understand that we've got meter taxis that have ran out of business because of the introduction of e-hailing, and they are finding means to keep in business. So to level that to the e-hailers then becomes unfair. And then coming to the issue of the operators with what Mr. Lesiba has just said, what we are referring to, where he says the NLTA is explicit in terms of the operating license. What we are also asking for in terms of the fair determination and the categories, it is also explicit the same way, but they go on to choose what suits them. And the issue of operating licenses, like he's saying, it's not negotiable. Hence, we've been fighting on our side to say, let's address the backlog. If you look at the backlog, it's sitting at thousands. And the other issue that we have is a narrative that points at e-hailers as operating illegally. E-hailing was made legally in 2016 through a practice note, recognized as a meter taxis. The very same operating licenses that are required are for the meter taxis. The issue of not complying, it's abroad within the transport sector. The backlog, he may give you the statistics, you realize the taxis as well are struggling to get their operating license. E-hailers themselves, the meter taxis, we are all struggling to get these operating licenses, which becomes a challenge on our side. Hence, we're pushing for them to say, let's have these operating licenses. Now, I need to come to an issue where we are accusing the Santaco and those that are committing these crimes, bullying people. We may not expect someone who is a criminal to self-correct themselves. That's why we've got law enforcement. That's why we've got government. On the very same NLTA, you look at Section 9 and 10, the responsibility of the MEC, and then Section 66, you'd realize the responsibility that is given to make sure that passengers and operators are protected to provide their services. And that's what we are asking for, to say, let the law enforcement take charge, because these perpetrators of this violence and harassment are doing this because there are no consequences for them.
Got it then. And Graham, just quickly to respond to the issue of consequences, because you can't also, as Santaco, when there are violence reported, bullying and harassment reported, and you come and say, well, we're not aware of that, we just condemn it. What are you doing as Santaco to rein in the patrollers that you have on the roads? Because those are the people that are harassing even ordinary motorists.
Yeah, thank you, Clement. Clement, as you are aware, that there are a lot of people out there that's also doing this kind of thing because they've seen there's a, can I say, a market for them to come and extort money from people. So we are getting a lot where people are stopping e-hailers, even the normal community as such, and extorting money from them. So our request is that if anybody gets such stoppages, they must please contact the nearest association. They've got their right, and it is a South African right in our constitution. It says that you are not allowed to do that. You have the right to go and report it at the police station. Let law enforcement take its course.
Got it.
When we do get such incidences, Clement, just from the Santaco side, when we do get such incidents, and we do get a lot, to be honest, I'm getting a lot as a taxi association Santaco. We do get a lot, and we do speak to our associations in that area and to go and check what is happening there, if it is true or false. If we do get that it is happening, we discipline that patrollers. But it is very rare, to be honest, very, very minimal that it is our people. As I say, there's people out there that are extortionists, and they've seen the gap, and they are doing that.
It's 8 minutes before 12.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
The death of farmers is always a tragic situation. But the politicization of the death of our farmers, for what I believe is the monetization of the fear and the pain, is just as diabolical as the trivialization of anybody's death. There are certain organizations and certain agendas that have seen this as an opportunity. But the underlying racism that sustains the narrative that says that the blacks are out to kill the white farmers is most unfortunate.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
It's the clarion call for the 26th Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. Choose your days carefully, because this time we're going all out as the heavyweight jazz at Lincoln Center with Wynton Marsalis make a triumphant return to the Sandton Convention Center on the 26th and then the 28th of September 2025, alongside the already star-studded lineup of over 60 world-class acts across 4 stages. On second thoughts, we recommend you buy yourself all 3 days via Ticketmaster. Take me there.
Ready, jet, go! 2 fully paid trips to the Abu Dhabi Motor Racing Spectacular must be won in the thrilling new JetX competition exclusive to Hollywood Bets. An unforgettable experience awaits on one of the fastest circuits on the planet, with the world's top drivers battling for supremacy. To stand a chance to win, bet 10 Rand or more on JetX. 1 million Rand in cash is also up for grabs. Hollywood Bets. Fly higher with our multiplier. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
A sinkhole on the R21 near Olifantsfontein is being repaired, but this isn't just about restoring the road. Sunral's 154 million rand project is opening the door to new opportunities for the local community, from training and mentorship for SMMEs to jobs for unskilled labor and real experience for young engineers. This project is repairing more than a road. It's building futures. Work starts mid-September 2025. Sunrail, building South Africa through better roads.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
It's going up to 5 minutes before 12.
Clement, I stand to differ with that gentleman for the taxis. They are just bullies. They are law unto himself. There is a statement that is being said by Mpumalanga taxi whoever, who was saying no one must take their business. They are going to fight fire with fire. So if such statements are being made and they come to the radio to say there is allegations and everything, I think our government is also failing us. These people, they cannot just be law unto themselves and harass even us for the cars that we paid for. We never said to them they must go and buy the taxis. Everyone is experiencing financial crisis. So that's their business, not our business.
Mohau from Germiston. I was an Uber driver or Bolt driver a few years ago, and one of the reasons why I stopped doing this kind of work was because of the being chased around malls like Greenstone and all the other malls, having to defend and sway, putting myself and my passengers in danger. My question to your panelists is, what about a taxi industry ombud, where things like this can be ironed out consistently? Because talking about legislative laws and this, it doesn't work. We need boots on the ground to stop the killing of people.
Yeah, Lisiba spoke about the 100-member team. And Lisiba, maybe you can respond to that voice note. A taxi ombud, is that what would be necessary? And that 100-strong member team, what are they going to be doing on the ground? I've got only 30 seconds.
So, yeah, well, the ombud is possibly a great idea. It must cut across the entire sector, but we do have a tribunal that facilitates over conflicts and so forth. But in terms of the 100-member team, actually, to be precise, there are 96. They were given a task to actually go out there and protect the public, a task actually to deal with bullying within our streets. We are not going to cower and watch and continue to watch when communities are being terrorized. But we must say that we do have a very solid relationship with the leadership of the Gauteng taxi industry, including the e-hailer services. But we are certain that that team, led by a capable woman, Director Sapepa, is out on the ground. As soon as recent as yesterday, we were at Southgate, and the issues that have been elevated in this interview of people who are masquerading as e-hailers or taxi leadership, taking people with their private cars. As it is, you go to Southgate, there's maximum deployment, including all other malls that are being earmarked as hotspots. So we are going to go out there and protect the public.
All right, got it. Lisiba Mpia, spokesperson for the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport. Thanks for your time.
Feel the exhilarating power and performance. Feel the anticipation of a new adventure around every corner. Feel the breathtaking wonder of Mzansi's epic scenery. Feel the luxe vibes and the good times. Feel it all and more with the Ultimate Shell V-Power VIP experience. Spend 750 rands 3 times this month and tap your V Plus rewards card for a chance to win one of 5 epic road trip and trek experiences for 2. T's and C's apply.
Outsurance is simply the best at ensuring you have a great claims experience. Outsurance has again lowered their number of complaints per 1,000 claims referred to the Ombudsman, and on top of it scored 9.99 on the Hello Peter Trust Index, plus a near 5-star rating on Google Reviews. Isn't it time you switch to the insurer where you always get something out? Visit outsurance.co.za today. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
The Festival of Motoring, powered by Westbank, brings the spirit of Ubuntu to the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit from the 29th to the 31st of August. Experience thrilling track drives, 4x4 adventures, drifting, supercar hot laps, and F1 demos. Get your tickets on Howler and use the promo code RADIO for a special discount. The Festival of Motoring, the power of new.
Coming up next, the midday report with Mendy Winner. How are you doing, Mendy?
Good, thanks. And you,
What's
Clement?
popping today?
So the Tourism Business Council will weigh in on the disbanding of the SA Tourism Board and what's going on there, the impact on tourism in South Africa. We'll get an update on the bank price fixing matter that's in court. 4 million rand worth of drugs is being destroyed today. We'll look at how sport impacts on our country's happiness index.
Ooh.
We had a very unhappy weekend. And then our book of the week is Jeff Wicks and his excellent investigative work around why Babita Deokaran had to die. Don't miss that.
How many years ago is it from today? I mean, it's been a while, right?
3 years.
3 years now.
I
Sure.
think, yeah.
All right, that's what's coming up on the midday report. Thank you for listening to the show. Chat to you again tomorrow for the Friday edition between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Police have destroyed drugs and unregistered medicine worth more than 420 million rand in Gauteng today. In the past 3 years, police destroyed almost 5.3 billion rand worth of drugs, including Mandrex, cocaine as well as today. In the past 3 years, police destroyed almost 5.3